I left my husband, but now I see all the ways I failed him.
Both of you failed.
3 years ago, I left my husband of 13 years, together for 18 years total. It was the hardest decision to make, but I ultimately felt like I had no choice. And by the way, this comes from user Wink111. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily. But we don't have all the answers. We only know what we know. So let us know what you know in the comments. And OP says, we had a wonderful relationship for many years. He was my best friend and was the only person who I could fully relax and be myself with. We traveled a lot, built a lovely home and life together with our dogs. We liked the same things, had the same sense of humor, and were very compatible in day-to-day life. He was chill and calm and really tried to make our life pleasant and happy. However, we were not compatible with the big things in life, mainly finances, house stuff, and communication. This became obvious after we bought our house. Previously, we lived in my condo and split all the bills 50-50, and our expenses were minimal. However, once we sold it, I had to pay off some debt from the sale, so he began paying the new mortgage and property taxes, and I paid all the bills and bought everything for our home, including most of the groceries, and I paid for the initial renovations and all of our dogs' expenses. We both made good money, but he made almost twice as much as me. This became the default, and I know he resented me for it, but he would not bring it up with me and completely refused to discuss finances or make a budget. No matter what I said or did, he absolutely refused any communication with me about finances. This became a bigger issue when major home repairs were needed. Our furnace broke and we needed a new roof, among other things, and when I asked how we would pay for them, he would just say, I don't know. I have no more money. I didn't have the means to do it myself, and I hated the feeling of being in the dark and unable to fix the things that kept falling apart. Our yard needed a lot of upkeep, and whenever I would bring something up or try to make a plan, he would tell me that I have a bad attitude, or I'm never satisfied, or I hate our life. I know he tried his best, and to him it seemed like a personal attack, even though I was just trying to maintain our home. I'm a person who likes to keep on top of things, and I hated the feeling of overwhelming and helplessness and things getting out of control with no way to fix them. I felt like it was a sinking ship. Every time I would try to bring something up, he would storm off, and I would follow him to try to resolve the issue, and it would become a very toxic, circular argument with no resolution, ever. So that's why I left. I could see the writing on the wall, and I couldn't see any way that it could work. To me, our life was completely unsustainable. It was an agonizing decision, and I tried so hard to get through to him and change things, so I did not have to leave. I know I hurt him very badly. According to him, I decided I hated him and our life and just packed up and left one day. For the last few years of the marriage, I admit I was angry and resentful, and I treated him unkindly. I said awful things to him during our fights because I just wanted to be heard, and he would not listen and talked over me constantly.
Relationships is a two-way dance, and you were dancing at a different rhythm, and he didn't want to dance with you. He wasn't going to the beat. You can't put all the blame on yourself. I know it is on both of you, but it seems like, again, we're getting from OP's point of view, is that you tried, or at least were like, hey, let's do something about this, and he would never meet you halfway, at least. There was no compromise, it seemed like. So I don't think it's necessarily your fault for the entire thing, but it does suck. But if he can't take any accountability, that's also on him.
I developed insomnia and health issues and started sleeping in the basement, and he feels I abandoned him as a wife. I was spending a lot of time and energy on my health, so I totally understand his perspective, but he was never open to changing our lifestyle or downsizing to make things easier on me or on us as a couple. For the first 2 years after leaving, my health issues were really bad, so that was my number one priority. I was not doing well, so the divorce proceedings didn't happen until recently when I retained a lawyer. He has done absolutely nothing concerning divorce. He ignores letters from my lawyer. Because of how avoidant he is, I knew that it would fall on me. I tried to do things amicably, but he refused to talk about it.
It's crazy even post your relationship how his communication style is and how avoidant he is. He can't even is he just going to keep running from the truth or running from like reality?
Is he just going to pretend you're not getting divorced? How does one do
He's just
that?
going la 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 la. If I can't hear it, we're never divorced. La 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 la.
He stayed in our home and I initially lived with my parents. Now I'm renting a small basement suite. I have not received 1 cent from him, so his lifestyle did not change, and I basically started over with nothing. I continued to pay the bills there for a year after I left to ensure he would be okay so he could make moves to buy me out of the house, which he never did. I think he feels entitled to it all because I'm the one who chose to leave. Regardless, recently having the time and space to reflect, I do see his perspective. I see all of the ways that I failed him and our life and the ways I could have tried harder and done more. I feel so much guilt for what happened with my health and how it got in the way. I see how I did not appreciate him and the little things as much as I should have. I miss my old life so badly that my heart hurts. I miss his company. I miss the comfort of our home and our routines and special holidays. I feel like I have no purpose now. I don't want to start over. I don't want to get a divorce. I just want us to be able to work it out. I feel like as unsustainable that life was, it's better than what my life is now. And by the way, what is now and what is forever are the full episodes with stories just like this on your favorite podcast platforms like iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. All you got to do is search OK Storytime, and you've got everything you'll ever need for the rest of your life. No cap, on God.
How far is this after the divorce or like separation?
It's been years.
Yeah.
I mean, after I think the separation, I think the divorce just started happening because he was avoiding it. But
it definitely takes time. OP, stop though. I think you're holding on to that as like that's what my life should be. That's what my life peaked. Sure, you probably had really good moments, but there's a reason why you got to this moment. How you got here, why you got here, it is on both of you. It's true, but you can't put the entire blame on you as well. I think that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You can't put 100% of it on you. It's not fair.
Don't put the blame on me.
Yeah.
I have asked him if he wants to be divorced, and he just says, I don't know. He bailed at the last minute when I tried to go to counseling. He will avoid my calls and texts when I try to talk about the divorce, so nothing ever happens. I am stuck in this awful limbo of not being able to live the life I co-created, but not able to move forward. What can I do? I want to be able to get through to him and fix it all. But if I can't, how can I move forward with all of this loss? How can I trust I made the right decision even though it's not what I wanted at all? Do a cartwheel. Do a couple cartwheels.
Learn how to do a backflip.
Get your mind off it. Cartwheel, cartwheel, cartwheel. Comments. Come on. I don't know why you're beating yourself up over this. Your husband was all in while things were easy. He moved into your territory and did the bare minimum. He sounds like my ex. He wants to be the provider and take care of everything, but has no idea what he's doing and resents you for being able to do what he can't. He won't ask for help or work with you because he wants to be in charge. Meanwhile, everything is falling apart because he's in over his head. You want your old life back from before the move, but that life and that pretend man are gone. The real man is the struggling narcissismo that is too proud to ask for help and blames you for everything. Don't feel bad for him. It took me months to stop worrying about my ex. Now I'm angry at myself for being so blind. Let him keep his pride while you keep your sanity and improve your health. You need to stop helping him. He could have opted to sell the house, get a roommate, or a second job, but he's still depending on you while also blaming you for everything. Finish what you started and move on. It hurts to miss what was, but that's already gone. More in that relationship. Put yourself first now. Comment 2 says, I think you're romanticizing the past big time. Nowhere in what you wrote I could read something positive about this guy. Differences on finances break relationships. You did nothing wrong by having boundaries and standards. Your health got bad because you were being used and in a relationship that was not satisfactory. The body speaks what the mind doesn't accept. If he doesn't want to go to counseling, then go yourself. You need to process where this regret is coming from and why now. Maybe you feel he's your last chance to be happy or that after him you'll never meet anyone better, but I promise you will. But you need to accept that this marriage is over and it's not your fault that he lacks communication skills to be an adult partner. Comment 3 says, my advice is find something rewarding to do with your time. Anytime you start getting nostalgic, pick up a book or go volunteering or make some art. Meet people who don't talk over you or avoid common sense discussions. You have been blessed with the opportunity for a new life. Don't stay mired in misery. Also, starting over can feel like a plane trying over and over to take off on the runway. But be kind to yourself and eventually you'll find yourself safely in the air.
Ah, it's beautiful.
That's the end of that story. I agree. What a beautiful little time. What a beautiful little ending there. I refused to host my husband's friend because he complains about everything.
I don't want a little whiner at my table.
So, my husband has this friend, we'll call him Craig. The first time we invited Craig over for a holiday was Thanksgiving a few years ago. He said he wanted to wash his hands before dinner, but he didn't use the bathroom. Instead, he went to the kitchen and proceeded to complain about how the sink was full of dishes and why hadn't I cleaned them yet, despite the fact that I had made an entire Thanksgiving meal. Automatically throwing this guy into the pit
Yeah.
for saying, you cooked Thanksgiving dinner and you didn't do the dishes yet?
Yeah. That's a pit for me.
While washing his hands before dinner.
That's crazy.
My husband said he was probably joking, and I shouldn't have taken it so personally. For Easter, my husband invited him again, and Craig offered to bring a pie. I told him that I was already planning on making 2 desserts, carrot cake and cheesecake stuffed strawberries. That sounds awesome. And since my husband and I were trying to lose weight, I really didn't want an extra dessert floating around. So he offered to bring rolls instead. I joked that if he didn't bring King Hawaiian sweet rolls, he wouldn't be allowed inside.
So valid.
Honestly,
Those are the rolls to have.
entirely correct. What other rolls would you buy? This is a King's Hawaiian
Unless you
podcast.
home make them, then I'll allow it, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't think they'll taste as good as the King Hawaiian rolls, but I'll appreciate the effort and love that you put into it.
You gotta put that King Hawaiian roll in it, though.
Just have a little bit of those on the side.
So, on Easter, I told him dinner would be served at 5. 5 o'clock came and no Craig. 5:30, still no Craig, but we decide to eat. 6 o'clock, no Craig, and we move on to dessert. 6:30, we finished eating and decided to relax in the living room. 7 o'clock, Craig finally shows up with his girlfriend, and I see he brought King Hawaiian butter roll. Not the sweet rolls. Get out of here.
Come on.
Classic 7 o'clock Craig showing up with the wrong bread.
You're so close. Got the right brand. Wrong type.
He's like, I'm late. I went to every store looking for the Hawaiian bread.
Yeah.
By the way, this comes from user Agent Sparkles88, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
No, I'm Angie.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't freaking know all the stuff, dude. We just know the things we know. And if you know things we don't know, tell us in the comments, you little goober. And OP says, at this point, I didn't really care since I already ate dinner without a roll, but what really got me was he brought the pie. So Craig goes to wash his hands and can't help but make a comment about the dishes in my sink. He then complains that my food is nowhere as good as his girlfriend's. Probably had something to do with the fact that the food was now cold. When he was ready to leave, I told him, don't forget your pie. He mentioned that he didn't like sweets and we could keep it. Now, Thanksgiving is coming again, and my husband wants to invite him. I said, fine, but I'm not dealing with his BS this time. The first condescending comment he makes is that he can walk straight out, and if I have to slam the pie in his face to get him to take it, then I will. You still have that pie? You've got the same Easter pie. It's just been sitting around.
It's just all dried and crusty, and it'll just crumble if you throw the pie at
Give him a
someone's face.
concussion.
Yeah.
Solid brick pie.
It's a rock at that point.
Yeah.
My husband is telling me that I'm taking everything out of context, but I think showing up 2 hours late and being rude to the host is pretty clear. Am I the a-hole? And there are some comments. I will say it is crazy that he showed up 2 hours late and then insulted you.
Yes.
That's a pretty big demerit on 7 o'clock Craig. But can't really be mad that he brought pie. You know what I'm saying? He brought the pie and the rolls. Just don't eat the pie.
That's nice that he brought the pie. I think that's fine. If you wanted to leave it there, you didn't want it, that's okay too. Give it away or throw it away.
Put the pie outside and let somebody, smell it and like float over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they'll eat it.
They'll eat it.
You
But
know?
yeah, if you just leave it on the windowsill, then you'll be good.
Yeah, just make sure it's warm enough for the cartoon smoke to
Yeah, so
billow off
come
of
off.
it and
You gotta get that good steam.
flow down the street.
Yeah. But everything else, 7 o'clock, Craig. Come on.
7 o'clock Craig, what are you doing? Don't be insulting.
Come on.
Have we also talked to 7 o'clock Craig and been like, hey, when you crack the wise guy, jokes, not really a huge fan of those, Craig.
Yeah, Craig.
But we have some comments. Comment one says, Comment one says, you're weirdly sensitive about the pie, but justified in being upset about his comments about your dishes and about your food, and the fact that he was so late. OP said, if it hadn't been for the other stuff, I probably wouldn't have minded as much, especially since he bought it at a restaurant that has the most artificial tasting chocolate pies I've ever had. And OP's clarifying on if Craig's girlfriend was even invited to Thanksgiving the first time. Has Craig been with his girlfriend for a while? OP says, Craig asked if he could bring her, and we said yes. She was perfectly kind to us. They're actually engaged now, and my husband hasn't known him that long. They used to work together, and I know my husband and his work friends are rude and inappropriate with each other, and I told him that if he wants to act like that with his friends, I don't care. But I don't like people treating me like that. Comment 2 says, why does your husband keep inviting him? And if they're tight enough to spend all the holidays together, why hasn't he addressed this behavior? Not the a-hole. Your husband borders on it, though. And OP says, to be fair, those are only 2 holidays in the past 4 years. That's what I was going to immediately point out. This commenter's like, he's coming to every holiday? It's like...
well, not quite.
We're talking about the third one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't know it had been 4 years, but not really every single holiday.
Yeah.
He's coming over on Arbor Day?
How
Yeah, he
dare
brings
you.
a tree.
On Talk Like a Pirate Day? On
7-Eleven Day?
Yeah. And he didn't bring us free slushies?
He just brought one for himself.
Come on.
OP replies, he usually visits his family, but those 2, he happened to be in town. Commenter 3 says, not the a-hole, you have a husband problem. Craig is obviously an a-hole, but why is your husband okay with his friend being so rude and nasty to his wife? Does your husband also treat you like this? Or talk bad about you to Craig so that he feels comfortable enough to act this way? The first time a guest was ever rude to me in my own home would be the last time they were inside it. Tell your husband he can go spend Thanksgiving with Craig and his girlfriend while you stay home alone. I don't think that's a win, commenter. Don't think that's a win. I don't like this. There will be no less and no a-hole making rude comments. OP says, I've seen my husband around his friends, and they go all out with the mean comments towards each other. So I get that it's their friend dynamic. My husband says that Craig sees me as a friend, and that's why he's comfortable being rude to me. But he isn't trying to actually be mean. I told him I'm not mean to my friends, and he said he'd tell Craig to be nicer, but that he just forgets I'm not like his other friends. Comment 4 says, ask your husband, what about Craig does he actually like? All these comments saying this stuff, and it's like, we didn't even ever talk to Craig, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think Craig has ever been made aware that he even stepped out of line in any way.
Right. I think this is the kind of situation where it's like, maybe they just haven't said anything because it's like the kind of thing where it's like, these are big enough to be really annoying, but small enough to like not be like, hey, what's the freaking deal, Craig? You know what I mean? It's like, so how do you bring up those issues with a friend?
It feels like this started with like the comment about the dishes was like a little splinter.
Yeah.
And then OP just like was like just having it fester.
Yeah.
And just like, ugh, and it's been a whole year now. And they're
Right.
like, if Craig says one thing out of line, I'm concussing him with the pie he brought for Easter.
Yeah.
And I am lighting his car on fire. Like,
Yeah.
let's just start with, hey, Craig, I would prefer to you not to speak to me this way.
Yeah. I think we need to know how we feel about these things, and then when something comes up again, then we just nip it in the bud right away.
OP says, they used to work together, and I know Craig did have my husband's back in a situation where a higher-up was trying to get my husband fired over a mistake that was the higher-up's fault. Craig sounds like he's not that bad. I do appreciate him being there and defending my husband in that situation, but in my personal life, He's annoying. And comment 5 says, you're definitely not the a-hole and a saint for being willing to host him again after his nonsense. But I have to ask, what is your husband doing while you're cooking a huge meal? Because mine is doing the dishes, so we end the night with an almost clean kitchen. Plates and serving dishes, but the pots and pans are done. I ask because it sounds like your husband doesn't really respect the work that goes into hosting these things, which usually happens because he doesn't contribute to it. OP says he typically cleans the house for the guests. We can be a little lazy about it when we don't have company, so it gets messy, and we have dogs, so everything needs to be vacuumed. And it's a small kitchen, so if he tried to wash dishes, he would end up being in my way, and I'd get even more frustrated, so we always agree to handle dishes after everyone leaves. Comment 6 says, OP, did Craig make the complaint towards you specifically or towards your husband, or the both of you? Because if it's towards you in particular, then that man has a lot of gall to complain after having enjoyed the meal you made, twice, I might add. In your shoes, if Craig comes to dinner and complains again, I'd hand him some dish gloves and a brush and tell him and hubby to start cleaning it if it bothers him so much. You cooked, he can clean. He's been a rude guest so far, and you don't have to tolerate it, and he's not even family. OP said he said my name, so it was directed at me. And we have an update, and it's post-Thanksgiving.
Okay, so we find out if Craig said any other little comments.
Yeah, and I see a comment, Toria Bumgarner says, if Craig was a punk like that, I'd tell Craig to cut the crap. He can talk like that, so can I. Yeah, I think that, and OP's probably not built that way. OP says that's not how they interact with their friends, but, this is a perfect opportunity because you don't like Craig and Craig's not your friend. But if you talk to him in a mean way, Craig will be like, oh, she's my friend. So it's kind of like a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
You can be as rude as you want to Craig, and he'll be like,
I guess
oh, OP's so cool.
Right. But
Yeah, or-
might not be
yeah.
the case.
I mean, like, what would you say to Craig?
I would just be like, hey, yo, buddy-o.
Hey, yo, buddy.
If you don't like that I got the messy dishes when you are here as a guest, when I cleaned or I cooked for you, then maybe you could pitch in and clean them for me. Just like, hey, really good observation there. I'm so glad you volunteered to clean them up. Yeah, it is a problem. You're so right.
Yeah.
Get to it.
Craig, you're so observant. Why don't you observe where the scrubby brush and the soap is?
Yeah.
Yes. And there's an update. So since Thanksgiving was yesterday, I decided to update, but first I want to address a few things. Craig did ask if he could bring his girlfriend, and we said yes because she's a very sweet person. I just forgot to mention that. And why did I or my husband not call Craig out? Well, I am very non-confrontational, and my husband and his friends roast each other. That's just their dynamic. My friends and I borderline flirt with each other, so it's the exact opposite. I disagree. I think men bullying each other is flirting.
Is that how you flirt with your men?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I always tell Keon he's a stinky little goose.
Yeah, because you want to kiss him.
Because I'm like, ooh,
I mean, yeah.
I like you.
I think that it's kind of hard to say like what other people should be doing or should not be doing in that sense. It's like, well, you flirt how you flirt. That's okay.
Yeah. Friend flirt.
Friend flirt.
It's friendtatious. Flirt,
Yeah.
flirtendly.
Friendly flirty.
Friendlacious.
Friendlacious.
Friendtatious.
Friend.
We've got all the options covered. So, when Craig insulted me, it's because he likes me and sees me as a friend. A lot of people also seem to think my husband is terrible, and that's easy to say when this is the only thing you know about him, but let me assure you I could not have asked for a better husband. He supported me for years while I was unemployed, and he didn't complain. He's taking care of me while I was sick and recovering from surgery. He defended me when his mother called me lazy. He likes to surprise me with little presents and treats for no reason, and he's more excited about my little victories than I am, and is always quick to remind me how amazing he thinks I am whenever I try to say something negative about myself. He's silly, and he makes me laugh. He's so amazing that I'm willing to put up with his lukewarm friends. Several people have also mentioned that I should go out to eat, and as a person who used to serve on Thanksgiving, that sounds horrible. But you know what's not horrible? The fact that you can listen to full episodes with stories like this one on your favorite podcast platform like iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Just search OK Storytime and you're set.
You sure are.
Yeah, we've got a little bit more. Me personally, I'm in the free Craig camp.
Okay.
Free Craig, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
OP already said that they're very non-confrontational, so it's like you can't expect somebody to change or like not adopt, but like what am I trying adapt? You can't expect somebody to adapt to your way of being or communicating if you never say anything.
I have to agree with that.
You know, and like, yeah, it's absolutely unhinged for him to show up on during that Easter dinner or Easter brunch, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess it was dinner, and be like, "Oh yeah, the food." Like you can't insult the food. Even
Come
I mean,
on.
that's
She made
Come
everything for you guys. Maybe not the pie, but still.
He even said he's like, "My girlfriend makes better food." If I was his girlfriend, I'd be like, "Don't don't bring me into this."
Yeah. So I maybe free Craig until OP you stand up for yourself and you
Yeah.
speak your mind.
You got to go to Craig. You got to go, "Hey Craig, come here. I don't want to be weird, but I don't like you razzing me.
Yeah.
You know, can we just be more polite?"
Yeah.
And Craig goes, "Oh, dude, yeah, 100%."
Here you go.
And then it's over.
Take notes, OP. Word for word. Say that exactly.
And then if he calls you a little stinky doodoo baby, then he's the a-hole.
Yeah.
Anyway, as it turns out, my husband didn't invite Craig. After my initial response, he decided not to stress me out any more than I already was. He did invite some guys from work who had nowhere else to go, and I invited my uncle and cousin. Everyone was an hour late, which is LA on time. But since the food was still hot and I was vibing to my music, I didn't mind much. The food was mostly good and no one insulted me, even though the turkey was a little dry. Don't worry, I know what I did wrong. You didn't put it in a bag. You had to put that turkey in a bag.
Put it in a bag. Turkey bag.
Put that turkey in a turkey bag.
Turkey bag.
And I had a good time gossiping with my cousin while the guys watched football. And there are some more comments here asking what OP did wrong with that turkey. OP says, "Well, typically I use a Reynolds bag to cook it in.
Okay.
You didn't put it in the bag."
Well, you didn't. It sounds like they did put it in the bag.
No, they didn't.
A Reynolds bag to cook it in.
Typically.
Oh, aha, I missed that one important word.
OP continues, "I know it sounds crazy to cook a turkey in a plastic bag, but trust me, it works. It keeps the turkey moist. So you don't have to keep basting. I used the bag, but I heard you should cut ventilation holes so the bag won't pop. I think I cut too many holes, or my holes were too big, which allowed too much moisture to escape. So next time, I'll just stick with 2 small holes." I hate it when my holes are too big, man.
No comment.
Comment 1 says, "Great outcome. I'm not sticking around for the brine police." And comment 2 says, "It's still rude to show up an hour late, but I'm glad you had a great time." And that's the end.
Well, okay.
Dude,
I mean, yeah.
free my dog, Craig.
Come on, Craig.
Free my dog, Craig. Craig, who made your husband not get fired?
Yeah.
Craig, who had your husband's back when he had a target on it?
Right. I mean, that's pretty neat if you ask me. But, I mean, it sounds like you're getting to your solution, kind of.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like any of that. I don't like any of this, dude. Your husband was like, "Yeah, we'll just like ignore him and remove his existence," even though I guess whatever. Maybe your husband's not that big of a friend with him. But come on. We can't just be non-confrontational forever. We have to be able to just like have a conflict. That's not even a big conflict. That's just like maybe 25 seconds of uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah, this is definitely not like friendship ending over.
No, it shouldn't be.
Especially, I mean, if you're non-confrontational too, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you don't like what someone's doing, you don't like how they're acting, then like, sure, you just don't have to be friends with them again. But if it's not your friend, it's your husband's friend or fiance, husband, whatever.
I think husband, yeah.
Your husband's friend, then like, that's for just deal with it or confront it. I feel like you shouldn't be like, "Oh, there's a problem happening and I'm complaining and I don't like it. By the way, I'm non-confrontational and I'm not going to fix that."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It just makes you seethe. You
Yeah.
just seethe about it. So now instead of being uncomfortable for one brief moment of conversation, you are constantly making yourself uncomfortable by like reliving and re-experiencing this like one moment of like, friction.
Right.
And every time you think about it, you just get a little more like annoyed by it. And
Exactly.
it's kind of your fault at that point,
Yeah. Like if you're self-aware enough to know that you are non-confrontational when you're talking about a conflict, then like I feel like we should be aware enough to actively work on it. This is a great
Right.
opportunity to adjust that behavior in
Right.
ourselves.
You know, it's like being like, yeah, like I have a broken arm, but I'm not gonna do anything about it. It's like, well, then your arm's gonna be all wonky and messed up.
Yeah.
You know, you're non-confrontational. You gotta work on doing some level of confrontation. This was like easy mode too. This was
Yeah.
like stage 1. Like, hey, I'd prefer if you didn't speak to me that way.
Right.
Oh, now I know. Now the boundary's been set. Now if he crosses it, all right, Craig, we're having problems now.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a lot of talk for 7 o'clock, Craig. Let's put him in the past. 'Cause we
Come
got
on.
another story.
We sure do.
My husband kept dodging the truth until a can of tomatoes exposed everything.
It's all in the tomatoes.
So my husband, 27 male, and I, 26 female, have been together for 6 years, married for about 8 months. Important context for our relationship. We met when I was an undergrad and my husband was working full time. By the way, this comes from Information Mac, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to our wonderful OK Story Time on our subreddit. I'm Riley,
I'm Carly.
And I'm Vincent and Keon.
Woo.
and we're here to give good advice goofily, all right? We don't know everything, but you know something, and I want you to comment down below. That's your job. NOP says, before my husband was the primary earner of our house, paying our rent, utilities, and groceries, while I focused on keeping the house, cooking, dinners, cleaning, laundry, errands. Fast forward to now. We both have full-time jobs, and our salaries are about the same, so we're splitting all the bills evenly. We've recently had a talk about how I felt as though the mental and physical responsibilities of the house are still primarily on me, even though we have agreed that the dynamic would change when I started contributing more financially. I still plan and cook most nights, 4 to 5 times a week if we don't meal prep. I shut down the house at night, clean the kitchen, put the dishes in the sink, dishwasher, pick up our mess and the cat's toys. I do the laundry and bathroom cleaning and basically everything else. I've been very open throughout our relationship about how I don't want our relationship/marriage to be one where the wife carries the mental load for the entire family while the man only acts as the breadwinner and doesn't help at all until she inevitably has a mental breakdown or is pushed to divorce. I witnessed how damaging this can be with my own mom and dad, and I refuse to repeat that. We hardly ever fight, but almost all of our arguments have been on this topic. I've broken down in tears from exhaustion or from feelings of being overwhelmed, trying to balance school, multiple jobs, and everything at home, and yet nothing really changes. My husband has seemingly been very open and receptive of these conversations and is always saying he will do better to take more off my plate. But this only lasts a few days or weeks before we fall into old habits, and I'm doing it all myself. The most recent argument on our usual after-work phone call, I asked my husband to stop at the store, pick up a few ingredients for dinner that I had forgotten when I was at the grocery store shopping. All we needed was ground beef, a can of tomatoes, and milk.
Oh no.
Okay.
I see where this is going.
I could do that.
Get those 3 items. I would hope most people could.
Easy money.
It seems very easy.
When he got to the store, he asked me to remind him what we needed. And after he said, okay, so pasta for dinner? That's easy. I can cook it since you cooked yesterday. And I said, thank you. I have a migraine and really don't want to cook anyway, so that would be perfect. So he gets home about 30 minutes later and starts unloading the groceries. I asked, where are the tomatoes? He said, I forgot them. I said, okay, should I go back to the store because we can't make a sauce without a base and we have nothing else prepped for dinner? He said, no, I forgot them, so I'll go back. He goes
Okay.
back to the store. Oh no, I know what's happening. He's cheating.
No, I don't think that.
I do.
I think he's trying to make it like he really was really bad at making dinner, so she doesn't
Weapon,
ask again.
weaponized incompetence. Oh my.
But if that was the case, I would think that he would have been like, "Oh yeah, could you please go back to the store?" kind of thing. Not him being so willing to go back, almost.
Do you see where this is going, Vincent?
Right now, it seems like he's making a little bit more of effort. He just might not be used to it,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, he's not doing
there's
very
a
good at the
change
effort.
period.
Yeah.
You know,
Agreed. At this point, it's almost 7 o'clock and I'm super hungry. Okay, this is me. I am this person. Between my dynamic with Angie and I usually cook. She's learning to cook and she's actually been cooking like a lot recently. But at the beginning, I'd be like, okay, we forgot something. It's going to take 20 minutes to get to the store, 5 minutes to find it, 10 minutes to do this. And then by the time you get back, it'll be like 7:40 and we haven't even prepped anything. You're not going to eat until like maybe like 8:20 at this point.
I eat late, so that's.
Well, you're already hungry at 7. What do you do?
If I was already hungry at 7, I might just hold off just out of spite of being like, you said you'd cook tonight, actually.
Okay. So I decided to start the pasta on my own because at this point, he wouldn't be back for another 30 minutes, which means dinner wouldn't be done for at least another hour.
Yeah.
We are the same, OP. He comes home and says, I thought I was cooking. And I explained the timing issue and how I really needed to eat to make my migraine medication. Also, this way, he can eat earlier. His response, this is the effing problem. You always ask me to step in and take the burden off of you, but you then do it before I can. Or if I do it, you stand there and micromanage everything that I'm doing. It's like you don't trust me to do anything. I know this isn't, am I the a-hole? But this is where I might be the a-hole. My response, I don't trust you. I mean, I trust you in the big ways. Like, I trust you to be honest and loyal and take care of me and our cats. And I would literally put my life in your hands. But on the day to do small stuff, I feel like I can't trust you at all. You keep saying you're going to help out around the here and there, but you constantly forget things I asked from you or claim you never heard me say it in the first place, especially if it was simple something around the house. I mean, Jesus loves you. You can't even remember a can of tomatoes 5 minutes after I asked you to grab them. He was quiet for a minute and said, then why did you marry me? In the most heartbreaking voice ever, and left the room crying. I finished cooking, packed it away in the fridge with a note that said I'm sorry, made a bowl of cereal, and ate it on the couch where I slept that night. I know my delivery was harsh, and I probably took it way too far, but how else can I get it across that I need him to do better? I'm not asking him to take over the entire mental or physical load. I would just appreciate coming home to dinner, cooking, or the apartment getting clean every once in a while, like he gets home to come to do almost every single day. I love this man more than anything in the world, but don't know how much longer I can play this. I promise I can do better game. I'm so tired. Relevant comments. Here we go. I got one thing.
Okay.
I saw a reel recently where it's like, women, to your husbands, you can't talk to them as a mother. You need to talk to them as a king. And sometimes a king... You said ew.
You want me to talk to my partner as a king?
But it's not
Is
like
he talking to me like a queen?
Yeah, that's like the level everyone needs to be doing
Okay.
at the most like highest, because like in this way it kind of get this motherly kind of like dynamic.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I just was waiting for the part where they were being talked to as equals.
Yeah,
No.
No. You always got to talk to each other as equals.
Yeah, I kind of still think they both suck. Because, I mean, maybe our narrator's a little unreliable because it sounds like he had a lot of frustration that she also wasn't hearing, but he needs to show that he can do at least the small things.
Yeah, you have to have a mediator.
Yeah.
Relevant comments OP provides in a comment based on common questions here. I don't know what I was expecting from the comments to look like, but I would like to address some of the common ones I am seeing. I texted him a list when I initially asked him to go to the store.
See?
The phone call was just a reminder since we were already talking when he got to the grocery store. We both have ADHD. We both forget things all the time, and usually there are no issues, but in this case, I think there was a difference between forgetting the only 3 items for a whole trip versus 3 things from an entire list of ingredients for 2 weeks worth of breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, along with the rest of the grocery list. I do my best to remember everything for meals, but occasionally when I forget things. When this happens, I usually go to the store myself since I was the one who forgot the ingredients in the first place. But I had a migraine and just wanted to go home after work. On that same note, all of the comments telling me to sit down and make a chore chart act like I haven't already tried that. We have set days for meals, he would cook, and had a list of chores he was responsible for, but after a week or 2, he would stop. Like, he wouldn't do the dishes or take out the trash until they were overflowing, or he would be on a game that he just couldn't pause, so I would just have to make dinner without him and would be back to square one. I don't micromanage or undermine him. When I ask him to do things, I usually ask him to do it before we go to bed, which means he has 4 to 6 hours at night or the entire day on the weekends. Or I asked him if he's at a good point to pause his game, do it quickly, and if not, whenever he has a break.
How long does it take you to, like, cave to do a chore that someone's not doing? Like, recycling or trash is overflowing. Do you ask them a couple times? Do you just immediately do it?
I don't know. It depends on how petty I want to be.
Yeah, I've let things go for a while with some roommates. I had
Yeah.
one roommate who, a while ago, fully filled the recycling on her own, would not take it out. I put a recycling bag in my room, and I let that baby go for like a month.
I don't know. At that point, you need to say
I
something.
cleaned my room.
Also,
But the thing is, I would, and it
Yeah.
still wouldn't happen.
I don't know. It's kind of weird talking about that with other people. Just the whole chore aspect. Because everything's well kept and it's not like a problem, but sometimes it's like, what do I do?
She wasn't clean.
Oh, yeah, then no, you got to say something. Well, my brother wasn't clean and that was really hard. And I just kind of had to let it be. Because I'd ask him things and then over time. But I'm usually the one that like gets things going.
Yeah.
I'm a great partner, all right? I'm just going to brag on myself. I do things great. I'm just
Keon's
great,
giving
okay?
him a look at the door. He went, whoa.
I am, dude. I'm sorry. I'm the stuff. I know that, and I deserve a hot
Keon-
girlfriend. Okay,
Keon,
I deserve a hot
you
girlfriend.
have a hot girlfriend.
I do, and I deserve it because I'm good at what I do. I cook for her, I clean for her, and I make sure that she has enough food when she goes home, and I
There
make
you
sure
go.
that she is safe, and I love her so much. And I feel like all the things that I do, it just aligns great. If he doesn't do it that day or the next day, I don't think I'm out of line for doing it myself because at that point, who knows when he's going to get it done? Letting my house get gross to prove a point just means more for me to do later. A lot of people told me to just stop complaining and hire a maid. We don't make money like that. I get maids aren't crazy expensive, but I have the expensive medical bills and we both have student loan credit card debt, so we don't have a lot of extra money in our budget. Also, we shouldn't have to hire someone to do basic chores that we are both fully capable of doing ourselves. It would take us an hour on the weekends, deep cleaning, and maybe 20 minutes a night for daily cleaning if we both did our share. I made a mistake. I suffer from chronic migraines, so I know the warning signs, and I usually have a snack with me or a real quick meal that I can make to take my medication with. I thought dinner would be within my window before it, but it was too late, and I was wrong. I didn't eat the dinner after because I was too nauseous. A lot has happened over the weekend, so I will post a better update tomorrow. Commenter 1. I think snapping was going to happen eventually. You could only hear the same thing over and over again before you stop believing it. I do, however, really believe you both benefit from couples therapy. They can help break down the communication in a way that you both can understand. While what you said was harsh, it doesn't make it wrong. I hope you're both able to work through this. Nope says, I agree that we could use couples therapy. I feel like I'm not being heard and I'm doing it all, and he feels like I'm micromanaging and attacking him. I have tried talking about it calmly, even asking for his input on how to improve things so he doesn't feel like it's all about what he's not doing. But at the end of the day, I'm still doing the work of trying to figure out a plan for both of us. I have to be careful about what I say and how I say it so it doesn't hurt his feelings, but it just adds loads of more to my mental health.
This comes back to me though of like, why are you the only one figuring out that plan? And is that because he won't, or is that because like he said you just take over everything that you guys are doing and he's not able to?
He's also playing a lot of video games and not helping out.
Making the plan should be already a dual thing together.
I feel like a therapist could at least help us figure out what the real underlying issue is in all of this, because it can't always be that he forgot. OP on having conversations with her husband about splitting chores 50-50 and with him manipulating her to do everything and he does nothing at home. OP says thank you. A lot of people are saying that I'm in the wrong for being emotional, but like you said, we have had this conversation multiple times. We have talked about it in steps. One conversation was about taking over cooking a few nights a week. Other conversations was about splitting weekly chores. Another about daily chores, and so on and so on. The problem is that we keep having the same conversation over and over, and I get emotional about it every few months because I find myself doing it all even after I talk to him about it, about what I need and how he can contribute better. I understand that some people may think that my crying is manipulative as well, but hey, sometimes I cry when I get overwhelmed and I feel like I'm not being heard. We got an update 2 days later.
Woo!
What should they do? Divorce, better communication, or couples therapy? I guess just like divorce or couples therapy. Like that's their only routes right now.
You always start with couples therapy, I feel like.
It doesn't
It's
really...
been 8 months of them being married. We're really just going to be like, yeah, I'm over it already.
Oh my god, 8 months?
Yeah, and they were together for a long time. Wasn't it like 6 years or 8 years together and 8 months married? I think it was 6 years together, 8 months married.
Oh my gosh. I'm having so many great ideas right now. Another idea, Carly.
Yeah.
It's a workbook. Before you get married, check this off. And it goes through a workbook of all the things you probably need to think of.
I also feel like talking about goals and like how you guys want your life to look is
Yeah,
very
right.
important.
you have to be aligned.
Yeah.
Okay,
That way
see,
expectations are set.
workbook. We got
Yeah.
it going. We already got some content here.
Yeah, no, I was on the same page as you. I was just trying to remember those 3 things.
Yeah. Update. December 9th. Thank you for everyone for helping me feel validated in my exhaustion while also calling me out and helping me see my husband's perspective. Here is the current situation. I flew home for the weekend for a girls' trip with my mom and my aunt while my husband stayed home and watched the UFC fight with a few of his friends. Sunday morning, I texted my husband to confirm my flight time so he can come pick me up, and he said, I'll be there. We need to talk. So I land, I get my bags, and get to the car, and he has flowers for me. He says, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have forgotten the tomatoes. And I said, thank you. But it really wasn't about the tomatoes. And before I could say anything else, he says, I know. That's why I wanted to talk to you about it. He then goes to tell me that during the fight, his friends asked where I was, and he said, she's with her family. And he said, oh, you're in trouble. And he said, yes. So he told them all about our fight. Apparently, his friends Chase, 35 male, and Alex, 29 male, both married, told him that he missed the point and that he was in the wrong. Also, great
nice
friend names to
friends.
have. My best friend and Angie's best friends both have those names. Great friends to have. And his friend Andrew, 28 male, was also there, but he is not married or dating anyone at the moment, so I'm assuming that he opted to stay out of it. He didn't tell me any other details about the conversation, but his conclusion was that he was wrong and he needed to apologize for whatever the issue was. I sat there for a moment, absolutely shocked. I said, do you even know what you're barely apologizing for? And he said, yeah, I forget things sometimes, and you have to do it for me. This time I forgot the tomatoes, and you felt like you had to make dinner, so you got mad and snapped at me. I took a few moments to collect myself and fix my WTF face before I said no. The issue is that you don't listen to me. I was mad about the tomatoes because it was the final straw. You just don't forget things at the store. You forget to do the things that you've agreed to do. How many times do I have to ask you to help me cook or help around the house? How many chore charts and chore lists and to-do lists do we have to make for you to actually help with anything? He got defensive and said, if you reminded me of the things you need me to do, I
Shouldn't
would do
need a
them.
reminder, buddy.
To which I said, that's the problem. Asking you to do things and then having to constantly remind you that you should do them is nagging and exhausting. I need you to remember. Write it down, set an alarm, find some way to make it work for you. I can't keep asking you to step up. I need you to actually step up. He didn't say anything for a few minutes, so I said, I think we have to go to couples counseling. I don't think this is something we can solve on our own. He said fine, and then drove the rest of the way home in silence.
See? Look how far those flowers got him.
Okay, so with this workbook and the mediation process,
Sure.
we need to teach people emotional intelligence.
That might be hard.
Yeah. How would he survive if he was single?
Exactly.
Schmed says. Oh, buddy. Yeah, I saw this from a mile away. It's hard not to be defensive. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard talking fault. Dang it, dude. I thought we had it.
Yeah, and it just takes him like listening and like without ego. Because it's just like whenever someone gets offensive, they're scared about something. People get angry when they get scared. Like, dude, what are you afraid of?
Yeah, right.
Just listen.
Be
She
vulnerable.
wants us to work.
Oh my gosh. When we got home, he went to his game room and started blasting music. He is 15. He is literally 15 right now. I knocked on the door and asked him if we could finish our conversation. And his response was, you already figured it out for us. So what else is there to talk about? I said, this is childish and I'm leaving. You don't want to figure things out between the two of us and you don't want to have professional help in communicating. I don't know what else to do. But I can't do it myself, and things can't stay like this. I'm going to my parents' house. Let me know when you're ready to talk. And I left. That was 2 days ago, and I'm still at my parents' house. The only texts I've gotten were from him were, where is X? Or when are you coming back? I haven't responded to the where is X text, but I told him I will come back when he's ready to talk seriously. No crying, no arguing, just a serious conversation about what the real issue is and how we are going to change things. No responses to that yet. The more I think about this whole situation, the more I realize that I've been played this entire relationship. I'm always the bad guy. Everything is my fault. I am not allowed to be emotional because that hurts his feelings. This, along with the weaponized incompetence, is too much. I want to have a real conversation with him, but history shows it won't go anywhere. If he doesn't agree to couples therapy or some other major way to show me that he wants this too, I'm leaving. I'm not going to fight, for this is my own. Thank you for all your advice. And by the way, if you want to listen to more crazy stories like this, go to your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. We have a little bit more left. We got a PS right here. .ps. Divorce or couple therapy.
I don't even think he wants to, though. He went fine about couples therapy. Like,
I will say, with leveling up with emotional intelligence, you have to read people's body language, because as a defense mechanism, if something's between Angie and I don't want to talk about it in the moment, I'll say, no, I'm fine. But I'll be a little cold towards her. And she knows that, and she reads it.
Classic.
And she knows, like, when to come to me and talk about it. And whenever she has an issue with something, I'll notice kind of her body language in a way. Well, she'll say something, but she doesn't mean it.
Okay.
That is an emotional intelligence thing I feel like this guy hasn't caught on to yet. Where, like, you really have to think on another level with these kind of things. You can't think on the basic teenager level. You have to grow that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I know that.
No, I get you. Yeah, there's a lot of like emotional listening you got to do. You have to be very attentive, like watching, not just listening to what they say.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's all about communication. Communication over everything.
Okay, so P.S. I saw a comment about the timing of the post. I figured I should clarify here too. The big fight happened last Thursday. I tried to post on Friday before I left for my trip out of town, but it got taken down because of the formatting. As you can tell, I tend to write a lot, so I had to block text issues. And when I reposted it, I didn't bother changing everything back to past tense. I came back from my trip Sunday and posted this update on Tuesday. Okay, got one big comment here. Yeah, whatever.
My husband called our marriage a sin after he went to a different church.
His new church is anti-marriage.
I, 28 male, have been married to my husband, 27 male, for 3 years and dated him for 2 before that. 5 years total of what I thought was a solid gay relationship. We are 2 men, have always been 2 men, and I did not think that was going to change anytime soon. By the way, this comes from throwra_drag. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Savannah.
I'm Carly.
And we are here to give some good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We would only tell you what we would do in this situation, but we would love to know what you would do in the comments. As OP says, we had a healthy relationship for the most part, with minor arguments here and there, but what relationship is perfect? We always resolved them and moved on. That is why I am so confused by what is happening now. Why is everything falling apart? I am a Christian. I know that surprises some people, but Christians do exist. My husband was agnostic, not necessarily an atheist, just not on board with any particular religion. That was fine with me, and I would have supported him finding peace in anything. He did not need to become a Christian, and honestly, as selfish as this sounds, I wish he had not. I know that makes me sound terrible, but he changed so drastically afterward, and I miss the man he used to be. It started slowly. He asked me about Bible verses. We went to church together, and he even fasted for Lent. Christmas this year became more meaningful than just presents, and I was happy to share this part of myself with him. I was raised religious and struggled with my identity growing up. If it were not for other queer Christians, I would have left Christianity entirely. I was glad we had this new thing to bond over, but then it kept ramping up. Suddenly, he was going to church more than I was, always carrying a Bible and randomly citing verses during political discussions. Oh, sure, whatever floats your boat. I noticed his views started shifting and becoming more conservative. He started agreeing with people who exclude certain groups from the community and spewing rhetorics about drag queens, as if we are not friends with a bunch of them. When I pushed back on some of his comments, he lost it. He called me a heathen and said his friends were right. That caught my attention. What friends? I asked him what he meant, and he immediately backtracked, saying he was tired and we should go to bed. I was exhausted too, so I dropped it. We got ready for bed, and he took a shower in our connected bathroom, making sure to lock the door. That was unusual because we always kept it open. I didn't say anything, but it felt off. The next morning was Sunday. He was already gone when I woke up, presumably at church. I got ready and headed over, but when I arrived, he was not there. After the service, I called him asking where he was. He said he was at church, but when I told him I was there too and did not see him, he clarified that he meant a different church entirely. This was news to me, especially since he never mentioned it and was still carrying our Bible. I told him to send me the address so I could pick him up for brunch, but he said he did not want his friends seeing me. That hurt. I mean, yeah, what?
What? This is your husband, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want my new friends to
my
like.
new friends can't meet my husband
Yeah, like what?
because my husband's And it's like, buddy, and that makes it makes
Hold on,
you,
let's give him a
what?
second to figure it out. Yes,
yes, you are also
Got it. Got it. I asked if we could at least meet up, and he said he would see me at home. A few hours later, he finally came back and said we needed to talk. I agreed because I wanted to ask him why he did not want his friends seeing me. Before I could get the words out, he said, I am straight.
Huh?
I mean, I guess, like, I see people have, like, the opposite, like, realization. Like, you see straight people being like, oh, actually, I'm gay. And it's like, oh, okay, cool.
I just really hope that if it has changed, that it's not just because his new Christian friends are telling him it's a sin.
Yes, that was also my deal, that he comes to that conclusion on his own,
Yeah.
not because anyone's forcing him to,
Right.
getting in his mind, manipulating him. I stared at him. He continued, explaining that his church helped him realize he was not going to see the kingdom of God if he continued living in sin, and that he needed to leave me as soon as possible. They told him I was a devil trying to lure him away from Christ. What? He started repeating all the same rhetoric I heard from certain Christians growing up, the kind that made me question everything about myself. He even said I could be saved, that I already had the traditionally masculine look and just needed to steer away from being gay. I felt like I was in an alternate reality. The love of my life was telling me I was a devil who needed to return to Christ. My husband was suddenly against everything we are. In 5 years together, not once did he think he was straight. That is not how it works. I told him he needed to leave and that we could discuss arrangements later. I still loved him, but I had no idea how he could look at me and say all of that. He argued, saying he did not want to leave and that we could be friends. I told him I would not be friends with someone who hates themselves this much. He packed a bag and left. His location showed he was at some random house I had never been to, presumably one of his new church friends. I did not know what to do. Did I seriously just lose my husband? I could not understand how this happened. I miss him already. Any advice would be appreciated, and there is an update. That's just crazy.
That's a very rare situation, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like we never get this side of the story. We always get, like, the opposite.
Yeah.
Which, like, I guess, like, it could go in both directions. But I just
Feels like he fell in the wrong crowd at the church.
Yeah, it seems like it's the people who he's surrounding himself with are kind of manipulating him and making him, feel guilty about his decisions that are a part of him, who he is.
Is there any coming back from that though?
Yeah, but I don't know. Update. Thank you to everyone who gave me genuine advice. I will answer some common questions. No, he does not have a family history of mental health issues that would cause sharp personality changes. No, he is not cheating, though I will get more into this. No, he is not bi. I am bi, and we have had those conversations. I talked to his family and our friends about the separation, explaining it was because of his newfound beliefs and how he was acting. They are all worried. I spoke with people at my church about this, and they told me the church he is attending is notorious for this kind of thing. Apparently, someone from there waits outside after services and approaches people walking out alone. They will pretend they attend my church until they have talked to them enough times to invite them to theirs. What? Not the church, rivalry.
Not that working on your husband.
Yeah, and also working on your husband.
Like, oh no, my husband actually goes to this church, and they're like, no, you don't have a husband. You're straight.
Who? Huh? My husband had been attending my church even on days I was not there, so he was alone often. It is predatory, and it makes me furious that something I loved led to him being taken away from me. I had limited contact with him over the next few days. He came over last night saying he needed to talk. He did not appreciate me contacting his parents, but assured me he was mentally fine. I had so many questions, but did not want to overwhelm him. I asked if he was leaving me for someone else. His response was that he did not want to leave me, but living in sin was not what he wanted anymore. After pressing him for an explanation, he finally admitted that he tried to cheat.
With a man or a woman?
Yeah, either way, it's still cheating.
It's still cheating, but I'm just curious if he tried to cheat to,
Yeah.
be straight,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
This is crazy. Okay. The guy who kept coming to my church and essentially recruited him was apparently so attractive that my husband would listen to anything he said. So he tried to cheat, failed, and did a complete 180, deciding being is the ultimate sin, not the fact that he tried to have an affair. This is actually going to drive me crazy. Finding out he wanted to cheat but did not is almost worse. He tried and got rejected. That is embarrassing for him and doubly embarrassing for me. I asked if they knew he was married to a man, and he told them I was his roommate who turned him. And now that he is straight again, I have gone off the deep end. He is a liar. Truthfully, he showed me Bible verses that were completely different from the ones in mine and kept trying to convince me I needed to change too. Wait, that's weird. Are there like Bibles like that are... I thought every Bible was just the same. Are there like some weirdly printed Bibles? Like,
I'm
that have different
sure,
things?
but I feel like they're probably just reading them and
I know it's like
defending
translation.
them differently or something.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Because I thought the Bible's a Bible. I mean,
I think there are different versions, but not like
I know there's like New Testament, Old
drastically.
Testament, but like I don't know.
no, but
what
I
that
think like
means.
some are missing some things or something. I don't know. I don't really
Weird.
know. I feel like they can probably print whatever they want in there. I'm sure there's like a Bible, and then there's like versions.
And then there's
but-
Bibles. He said he still cared about me and wanted to be friends. I asked about our actual friends, and he said they were too far gone. That's crazy. He kept talking, and I was done. He was not the man I fell in love with. He was not even dressing the same anymore. White dress shirt, slacks, and the most boring hairstyle ever. Sounds like he's trying to turn straight. Sounds like he's trying to be the boring straight guy.
Yeah.
Aw, darn. He did not look like my Anthony. The more he talked at me, the clearer it became that I did not want to be with the man he is now. He left, and for the second time in our life, he walked out that door without saying, I love you. And I was fine with that. Aw. This morning, I talked with my lawyer and started divorce proceedings. Afterwards, I stopped by where he was staying and knocked on the door. Part of me wanted whoever owned the place to be there when I gave him the papers, and part of me just did not want him coming to my home anymore. When the man opened the door, I realized this was who my husband had been talking about. I asked for my husband, and when he saw me, the look in his eyes made it clear he was not expecting this. I made it very clear to the other guy that I was handing my husband, divorce papers to end our marriage. By the way, you never have to end with just this episode, because you can listen to full episodes with stories just like these. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast app and just search OK Storytime. There's a little bit left, but what we thinking?
I just want to know what this man's about to say to this.
Yeah.
To our OP now.
Oh yeah, Hot Man. I want to
Yeah.
see Hot Man's reaction. Like, what?
Because he's under the impression that he's just roommate. And here he shows up with divorce papers.
saying, yeah, I'm divorcing my husband. Now he's gonna be like, what? You were living in sin? Oh.
Yeah, I do fear that your husband sounds like he's just going through something weird suddenly. But, like, at the end of the day, I don't know that there's any coming back from this. So I do think this is the solution. And if he comes to realization that he is, in fact, exactly who he thought he used to be,
Yeah.
then you can be there for him if you feel like you want to be, but you also don't have to be.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, sometimes this is what religion does.
Yeah.
I know the whole point is to bring people together, but it also very much separates people
Yeah.
in a way that's like, you don't believe in my stuff, well, then, like, screw you, you know, type of thing like that. Anyway, let's get to it. The one between two men. Us. We are those two men. Because if you wake up next to a man for 3 years of your life, chances are you are not straight. Sorry to break it to you. I will not go into detail about the proceedings themselves, but I am going to distance myself from him completely. His actions have been horrible for my health, and his family and friends can handle him better than I can. I am going to miss the man he used to be, but I have my people surrounding me. I am going to be okay. I hope for his sake he snaps out of this one day. When he does, I will not be there. But that is the end of the story.
My mother-in-law body shamed me after I financially supported her other son.
What? No, get out of there.
And this comes directly from the OK Storytime subreddit, and we do have a trigger warning for eating disorder. I, 26 female, and my husband, 29 male, come from very different backgrounds. I am born and raised Midwesterner, coming from a middle-class family. My husband is a first-generation American with parents that immigrated from the Caribbean. He grew up in poverty in South Florida. He excelled athletically in high school and moved to the Midwest on a partial scholarship to continue in athletics in college. This was a huge transition for him, moving from a community that was predominantly his race and ethnic background to a rural Midwest college town. By the way, this comes from Honey Medusa. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit, where this is from. And I'm Carly.
I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. Let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, he also struggled with the stark difference of being on his own in comparison to his very strict parents. He unfortunately racked up the max allotted student debt without doing a parent cosign loan. My husband did not want to be the cause for his parents to accrue more debt and chose to drop out and save, planning to eventually return to school. I graduated high school and went to my local state college, moving a whopping 25 miles from my parents and in the same town as my grandparents. I was the third generation in my family to attend this college, and it's where my parents met. My husband and I followed suit and met through mutual friends the week before classes started. We were both raised religiously and were both marriage-minded, so we became serious quite quickly into dating. We got engaged on the first trip we took back to his hometown for me to meet his family. I secured employment in my field a semester before graduating. A couple of months later, the vid hit. We eloped at the courthouse in masks and with neither of our families present due to our wedding plans all being canceled. We moved a state away for me to finish my last semester online in the city of my new job and to get acquainted while we were trying to survive with both of us being laid off of our customer service roles. I had a good amount of savings built up, and we lived off these until my new job started at the end of the semester. My husband bounced around jobs and tried immensely hard to find something that he liked without the degree that he was unable to finish. Luckily, I promoted a year later and we purchased a home, with my parents contributing a large chunk of our down payment from the saved wedding funds they had for us. Around the same time, his parents separated after 20 years of marriage due to infidelity on his father's part. My husband took this very hard. His father had always worked 2 jobs, sleeping in the parking lot of his second job during the week, and would only be home on the weekends. During my husband's whole childhood, he provided the best he could for their family, so my husband's mom could stay and raise him and his 3 younger siblings. Come to find out, my father-in-law was also financing his side chick's lifestyle as well. When my mother-in-law discovered the infidelity, she also discovered that my father-in-law, who handled their finances, had stopped paying all of their shared bills months ago. She, now 20 years out of the workforce, had to quickly find employment to catch up on her ever-growing debt. She got what she could, being a night office admin job. One of my husband's siblings was in college out of state, and the other 2 split, one with mom and one with dad. The sibling that stayed with mom, my brother-in-law, let's call him Sterling, struggled completing high school during the vid at home and no longer having provided lunch from school. My husband and I started sending Sterling grocery money as often as we could. A year later, he graduated high school and was booked on the first plane to come live with us. My mother-in-law came as well to see him off, and this was probably the first time that I faced some reservations in my relationship with her. This was a huge step that my husband and I were taking to help her and Sterling. We were young and in debt, but knew that Sterling needed to change. I had been working a ton of extra hours and had probably put on 40 pounds since our courthouse wedding. Relevant, I promise. I had a birth control that caused a good bit. We couldn't really support ourselves, let alone Sterling, and let further alone a baby. And stress and eating only takeout due to my long hours caused the rest. I was extremely active in childhood, through high school, and had developed an eating disorder somewhere in between. I worked on my relationship with food and myself in high school and was a healthy weight around graduation. I regressed in college, and I weighed less during my engagement than the last 2 years of high school. My mother called me daily to make sure I was eating. 6 months after my courthouse wedding, I tried on my wedding dress for some professional photos, and my mom had to alter the entire back because it no longer fit. But my mom viewed this as a success. I was eating. After some tears about my dress no longer being perfect, I had some great wedding photos. I had gained more weight at this point and was deeply self-conscious about it. My undereating had severely turned into over and binge eating, and I now coped with stress with food. My husband had always been great about it, promising to love me for whatever size I was. He helped me pick out new clothes and didn't mind that I had gotten a little curvier. My mother-in-law did. During the trip to drop Sterling off with us, my mother-in-law thought to comment on it. It was her, my mom, and me at the dining table looking through wedding photos now from months ago. She made an offhand comment that I looked skinnier in these photos than I did in front of her. I did admit that I'd gained some weight since the photos were taken. She commented that when I had babies, I would continue to balloon up if I don't stop gaining weight now. I told her I was comfortable with my weight, even if that was a lie, and that my husband and I were not planning on having kids until we could get our finances in line. My mom quickly changed the subject, and my mother-in-law left the table. My husband and I helped Sterling enroll in college and get a job to have him start helping with bills. We co-signed on his loans so we wouldn't have to further weigh his mom down. Sterling got a job and called his dad. He had wanted to maintain a good relationship, with the good news. His dad congratulated him and called back 2 weeks later asking for money from his first paycheck. He needed it because he had knocked up the side chick now. Sterling and my husband viewed this as the final straw, and the three of us went no contact. We are still no contact to this day. My parents had an open door for my husband's family, with all of his siblings staying with them for a long weekend at one point. And as soon as Sterling moved in with us, his whole family was invited for any holiday they wanted to spend with us. My mother-in-law took them up on this one time, with my husband and I paying for, her travel. She came with us to Thanksgiving and met both sides of my family. This trip was free of weight comments. I'd stayed around the same weight, but was filled with more and more demanding ones. I talked at length with my husband alone and with him and Sterling about feeling like their mom was ordering me around. My husband heard my feelings, but equated the behavior to acceptance from his mom and the fact that she was in a different environment. He viewed her behavior towards me as seeing me like one of her kids and thought maybe her asking me to always grab things for her or take her places was due to her not being here before. I accepted this, as Sterling was always treated similarly on the ordering around piece of it. I think I should clarify here what I mean. There are many of these, but here are 2 examples. Example: she would ask what I'm drinking, and if she could try it. I would say yes and hand it to her. She would try it and say she likes it and to get her one. I would get her one, and then she would open it and say she doesn't like it. I would then ask if she wants something else, to which she would ask for a list of all the drinks my parents have and describe each one that she hasn't heard of before. This was a consistent thing. Like, I could not leave her side to socialize with my family ever at these events because she had questions or requests the entire time. Second example, she asked me to take her clothes shopping. I thought this would be fun bonding for the 2 of us, until she tried on multiple items, had me hold them, then asked me to take them to the register for her. I did, and then it was now pay for them. Like, legitimately ordering to pay for her things. My husband maintains that if I would have simply said no, she would have paid. But I froze in the moment. I wanted to maintain a good relationship with her and felt that wasn't an appropriate place or time to have my first ever argument with her. I'm going to pause because we're about halfway through this story already. What thoughts do you have so far?
I mean, it seems like this mother-in-law, like, is very controlling, very demanding, wants stuff out of her. Like, I don't know if she, like, is trying to make her prove something or
I don't
something.
know.
I don't know. But, like, the fact of, like, her going, like, shopping and is like, hold all these, you know, I get it. Like, she's probably older. She can't, like, hold all the things she's getting, you know, whatever. You can get a cart. But, you know, if it's just a couple things. be like,
Sure,
"Oh, could you hold these?"
holding, bring
Yeah.
to the counter. Sure.
I understand that. But then being like, are you going to pay for it? Like, that's crazy. I'd be like, no. Am I wearing these clothes?
Yeah.
No.
I'm good, actually. You can pay
And
for them.
I bet you anything, I probably also drove you there. So, like,
She did.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like,
You're already financially paying for one of her kids. She's making comments about your weight, which is completely unacceptable.
yeah.
Yikes. I had witnessed this behavior of hers around Sterling, too. He would get ordered around all the time, especially now when she was visiting us. Never made him pay, though, but I would see my husband always offer without her asking. I think this was why I rationalized it as okay to push my feelings down on it. The next visit, I had gained some weight. She commented that I had gained some weight in the car in front of my husband and Sterling. My husband immediately shut it down. She didn't really apologize, but did mention that she didn't know that it was offensive to me. My husband said to me privately later, "See, that is all you needed to do. Now that she knows that you don't want to talk about weight, she won't comment on it." She shouldn't have commented on it to begin with. That's not something
Yeah.
to comment on.
That's not, that's like, It's like after you do it, and it's like, no, you shouldn't have just done it in the first place. Then you wouldn't even have to have the weird, awkward conversation. Like, what prompts you to be
a
like,
normal human?
oh.
Don't comment about weight of people.
like, I have never ever, not to my friends, not to my family, not to like, even if they have like changed in weight or whatever, I'm not gonna be like, oh, you've gained weight. Like, that is not a compliment that makes people hurt inside. So why would I even bring that up? I can think in my head, be like, oh, they got a little bigger.
Yeah.
But like, I don't have to be like, oh, you gained weight. Like, cool.
I'm
Alright,
sure they
thanks.
know.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure.
I felt I had tried the first time politely, but to my husband's point, his mom is a very blunt person. Him and Sterling always shared that is how parents from their culture are, and there are whole social media pages dedicated to things parents from their culture say to outside the culture spouses. I brushed it off, thinking this was now handled, and maybe I was being too sensitive. But I did comment that we can no longer fund her trips to visit us. This trip we had paid for one way of the flight and a hotel, since my parents did not have another guest room, and we didn't want her to stay on their couch. Between that visit and the next, I spent some time working on our relationship. The last visit, when she had walked in the door, I told her I had missed her, and she had responded with, "She knows that's not true because I never call her." So after she left, I promised myself I would actively try to call her more, and I did. I called her at around twice a month between her visits. Unfortunately, these phone calls became laborsome. She's moving to a cheaper apartment, and the moving guys charged her too much. So since English is not her first language, she needs me to call them and get her money back. I called, and they provided email confirmation to me that they had done what they charged. The next phone call, she needs help with her 401k. The next call, she needs Sterling to call her back. That one was easier. The next call, she needs help with her taxes because Sterling never gave her his taxes and she wanted to claim him. I don't know why it irritated me so much. Like, on one hand, I should be patient and help her. She is my husband's mom and is in a challenging situation. But on the other hand, I'm working 60 to 70-hour weeks just to make ends meet supporting 2 of her kids, and I felt like it was never going to be good enough, that I had to help her too. My husband and I had always wanted kids and were planning on starting early into our marriage. We moved this timeline for Sterling. Sterling was always appreciative, but I never got the sense that my mother-in-law was very thankful for it. She had made a comment to me once that it was my husband's duty as oldest to set an example for his siblings and look after them. She also said that my sister-in-law wouldn't have dropped out of college if she had moved in with the second oldest instead of my father-in-law. My husband and I have always viewed ourselves as the quintessential opposites attract. We were very lucky that both of our parents and extended family embraced our marriage quickly and wholeheartedly. We are different races, backgrounds, socioeconomic classes, political parties, you name it. We always viewed this as something that made us stronger. Our differences would make us remarkable parents because we can prepare them for almost anything. But that is now the problem. Getting to parenthood with my current relationship with my mother-in-law, and how much her behavior was labeled as culture by my husband, so it was impossible for me to feel okay about how I was feeling. I haven't spoken to her in almost a year at the time of writing this. I lied. She called me once for 2 minutes to have me tell my husband to return her calls, and I have ignored 4 missed calls from her over the last 3 months. I had felt my patience run thin from our phone calls prior to her coming for her next visit. This visit was incredibly hard for me because it was a couple months after my grandma passed away. My grandma was the holidays, and it felt weird going to Thanksgiving without her planning the whole thing, texting us in advance what sides we wanted, etc. My whole family was trying to pick up the pieces. My mother-in-law wanted to help. She decided she could fly in and cook or whatever was needed. We didn't have the money for this, so we decided to have her stay in our guest room, and she paid for her flight. Thanksgiving is a month before my birthday. My mother-in-law got to town, and after telling me that my house was filthy, it was. I had paid Sterling to clean before she got here, and he had not done a great job. She said she had a present for me. I go to the guest room with her, and she pulls a dress out of her bag. She had purchased me clothes before for holidays and knew what size I was. She holds up the dress to me and says, "Oh no, this won't fit you. It would have fit you when you married my son, but not now. I guess I'll have to keep it for myself."
What?
That's insane.
The fact that it's like, oh, come in the room, I have a gift for you, and then it holds it up. Ooh, actually,
Yikes.
yeah, it's not gonna fit. So I'll just take it then. Like, thanks.
weird. Okay, to backtrack a little bit, I'm sure culturally different relationships like that are very hard to kind of establish.
Yeah,
I
when-
don't think that negates you being able to be upset about things, but there is personally in my opinion acceptance that has to come from each side. Like some things you are just gonna have to be like, this is how they do it, like, and this is what it will be. Some things no, like this one, if he tried to say that this was like, oh well, that's just like part of her culture, like, no, this is her being blatantly a witch to me. Other things, sure, like taking care of the kids or like being around more, having to call her more to keep in contact. I can totally see a lot of cultures that are like way more family oriented, like you live with your family through marriage and stuff, but this is just mean.
Yeah, she's just literally, and like, she also, I don't know, another thing that like rubs me the wrong way is that she kind of like did it in private as
Mhm.
well. So it's like,
It felt like a way around Sterling and your husband.
yeah. So it's like, well, nobody else heard it. So like she just didn't have to say anything.
I have gained even more weight at this point, but my mother-in-law are very similar in size. I didn't understand why she had made the comment comparing our sizes and why she had done so when we were alone. But I do know that it stung. I choked back tears and went to my room. Also, the fact that she's like, and we're basically the same size, makes me feel like mother-in-law has a problem with her own like mother-in-law's weight, and she's
Yeah.
taking it out on you.
Like she's insecure and she's just like,
I told my husband, and for the first time, he had not been as understanding. He assumed I had misunderstood what she said. We drive to Thanksgiving, and it is the typical ordering around again. My aunt planned a wreath decorating event to help us stay busy and not miss Grandma. My mother-in-law comments that my wreath is boring and I should come see hers because it's better. My mom can tell that I'm getting agitated and asks what happened. I spill over tears how my mother-in-law is treating me. My mom says maybe it's time to stop trying so hard to make the relationship work. But by the way, I want to make this relationship work, so you should go listen to more full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There's just a little bit left, but yikes, yikes, yikes. Yeah, that is time to distance. Just
Yeah.
yourself. Like, obviously you've no control over what husband does, but
yeah. I mean, just,
you can voice your opinions, though.
yeah. And I also think it's maybe hard since English isn't her first language as well. And like, I understand there's cultural differences, but like, I don't know. You can still like have your culture and not be rude. You know,
Right.
there's like
Just like you need to be
difference.
respectful of hers, she should understand that what isn't hurtful in yours.
Yeah. And also the fact that like your son corrected that behavior
Right.
and then you do it behind his back.
Yeah.
Is just
Yeah.
slimy in my opinion.
I don't like it. Like I said earlier, we are over a year past this now. I've stopped trying, but now that my husband and I have started trying for a baby, he thinks it's time to repair the relationship again. We had a blowout fight about it today. He said things he doesn't mean, and I said things I don't mean, but he was adamant that he wants his mom in our future child's life. I, at most, see my mother-in-law 3 times a year, but every time it is stressful and draining for me. I don't want that stress while I am pregnant. I also disagree with how my mother-in-law raised my husband. Don't worry, he disagrees too. My parents weren't angels and I had my problems with them too, but I would trust them to babysit our kids in the future under rules that we set. I don't trust my mother-in-law to respect any boundaries that I set. My husband thinks I'm not firm enough in setting boundaries, which is why she walks over them. I think that even if I politely state that something bothers me, that should be taken at face value. And stepping over firm or soft boundaries is disrespectful. Looking for advice. Do you think I should try again? That's the end of that story.
I don't think so. I think especially now if you're like I mean if you think that she's changed after all this time, but I doubt it. It seems like she is just
Yeah.
going to be that way for the rest of your life, and if it's going to cause you stress, then like no. And especially if you don't want that for your child, like if you're already feeling like that. Imagine if she said something to your child, being like, "Oh, like, you're not eating right," or something like, "Let's go take a walk," or something, like
Yeah.
something along the lines of
I
like,
think
wait.
personally, like, if she's only coming by 3 times a year, like, let's just keep those 3 times a year. Maybe we
Yeah.
can up it for a little bit if you guys wanted the help, but if it's just gonna stress you out, I don't think so. And then if you're that worried about her, like, not listening to your boundaries, she doesn't get unsupervised time. Like, your parents can watch her and have the baby alone, and she can stay with you guys, and you guys can do family stuff and shut down any weight comments immediately.
Yeah. I don't
or
like the
anything
weight
to that child.
comments. That's so awful to have to deal with that, and then to question yourself, and then also, like, you know, question like your husband's upbringing and all this stuff. And it's like, what did I get myself into? Like, you know, that's how I would spiral.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law demanded updates on my pregnancy, and things get messy. Ooh, messy in the group chats are not okay. I, 25 female, have been with my husband, 23, since high school. We have been married for a year and a half. I absolutely love and adore him. However, our relationship has had some rough patches, and most of them point back to his mother. By the way, this comes from okay then. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We just know what we would do in these situations, so let us know what you would do in the comments. Throughout our entire relationship, she has dished out passive aggression, competitive behavior, and just disrespectful remarks. For example, she's just too sensitive and needs to grow a thicker skin. I laughed it off for years until a few months ago. I finally had it and had a sit-down conversation with her and my husband. I was very, very calm and respectful, but to the point. I made it very clear that I was hurt by her passive-aggressive behavior and walking into rooms where she was talking about me behind my back. She deflected and took no accountability at all. She told me, I don't remember any of this, but I'm sorry you feel that way. And, well, relationships are shaped at an early stage, and if this is how you feel, then maybe there's no coming back from this. I had told her that I wanted that conversation to be the opportunity to move forward and work to have a healthy relationship. The next day, she told my husband that I was hostile to her during the conversation, even though my husband was there.
I was gonna say, wasn't he there?
Yeah. Yeah. And my husband even told me that he was proud of me for being so respectful given the circumstances. She also cried to the rest of the family and made me the villain. I decided I was not going to be pouring any energy into that relationship anymore. She crossed the boundaries that I had just stated so clearly. I didn't cut her off, just started gray rocking her. She avoided me, gave me the silent treatment, and would play the victim any chance she could to my husband, saying things like, I'm walking on eggshells, and the situation with you two totally crushed me, almost ruined me.
Yeah, it seems like it. It
Yeah.
seems like it really affected you to the point where you did absolutely nothing about it.
Right. Since then, I have welcomed her into my home a couple of times, and she acted like a wounded puppy around me and gave me the silent treatment in my own home. Now, flash forward to today. I am 12 weeks pregnant. We announced it to the family on Christmas, and since then, it has been radio silence from his mother. Not once has she reached out to me to ask how I've been doing. Nothing. However, she did text my husband to guilt trip him about us not letting her know that we were getting to get my ultrasound. We didn't post anything, but spoke with my husband's grandma over the phone about it, and that's how his mom found out. And she was angry that she wasn't the first to know. Now, the newest text to my husband was, still waiting for spontaneous check-ins regarding pregnancy. OP doesn't communicate with me, and I'm not comfortable texting her. My blood was boiling. The triangulation is ridiculous. Anyway, my husband tells her to maybe start reaching out so it's not awkward, and she texts me this today. It might be nice to get together soon so I can find out how things are going, what plans might be. I'm sure you two are busy, but I don't really hear about anything, and I don't message because I'm not really great about it, and I don't want to be intrusive. That being said, I would like to be involved a bit, and maybe this is a better way, getting together every so often. Thoughts? I'm happy to text you, I just honestly don't know if you want me to. And that's the end of the text. But we do have a follow-up text, actually. Oh, really? Okay. Then she follows up with, wasn't blaming it all, by the way. Please don't take it that way. I'm awful with texting. Apparently not today. I know OP's husband is busy with work, and I absolutely remember what the first part of pregnancy feels like. All I wanted to do was sleep. I didn't want to bug you two with a bunch of messages. I'm trying to do better. But as you know, if you guys need anything, ... Okay, now that's the end of the messages.
It's just the fact that she literally contradicted herself in the beginning, saying like, I don't want to intrude, but I do want to know every single thing that you're doing though.
That's true, huh?
Like, that's what she said. She was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to intrude, but if you could just give me updates once in a while, or maybe take me to lunch, you know,
Yeah.
but only if you have time.
Right. It's also awkward to like know all of the behind the scenes to that and then hear these like excuses. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's the biggest deal that she's making excuses because, I mean, I'm sure I've done that in the past of like, yeah, sorry, I didn't text you because of this. Not true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like knowing that she's not comfortable texting OP and she was trying to go through OP's husband to communicate and then now is like saying all these things, but like, well, this is why I didn't want to text. This is why. Trying to like make her seem better than she is. It's like, okay. Knowing everything and how she is, I read this as passive aggressive and guilt tripping, hidden behind the mask of care or wanting to be helpful. Am I crazy? I don't want to share a lot of information because this is a very vulnerable and special time for my husband and I. I just didn't respond. My husband and I both want to address it with her and set very clear boundaries with her and let her know that entitlement behavior is a definite no-no. But I'm also just done. I don't even want to talk to her anymore. Advice from an outsider perspective, and we do have some comments.
I would just honestly, like, if she wants to talk to, OP's husband, cool. But I'd be like, yeah, no, I don't feel comfortable talking to you. And I feel like a lot of it is passive aggressive, as I told you earlier. And you literally basically told me that nothing's going to change. This is just the way it is. So, and now because I'm pregnant, I'm worrying about not only me, but my child. So I'm gonna actually choose myself first.
Yeah, I do wonder though if like I don't know. I always try to respond to passive aggressiveness by like taking it as if it's not passive aggressive. You know what I mean? Just like being super upfront of like, oh yeah, I hope you have fun. It's like, thank you, I will. Like that's so nice of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I almost wonder because I just feel like if you play into the passive aggressiveness and like assume that that's what's being said, then it might end up in a cycle of like you being passive aggressive or something.
Yeah.
Which, although, it doesn't seem like OP is leaning towards being passive aggressive in return.
Yeah, because she was very respectful and calm in like the, sit down talk that they had. So.
Yeah. So maybe if you guys do have another sit down talk about the message being like weird, then you can maybe say like, I don't know if this was what you intended, but this is how it came off. We do have some comments. Comment 1 says, she's in damage control because baby is coming, so you have something she wants. She knows she has to play nice so she can get her foot in the door. Someone replies to this comment, and let me add, don't let it happen. Continue to gray rock her. The relationship she's had with you is the same relationship she'll have with the baby. Let her know that just as clearly as you did when you had that conversation with her a while ago. Comment 2 says, Mom, you don't have a spontaneous check-ins kind of relationship with my wife. She tried to address the issues between you and you were dismissive and denied any responsibility for building a relationship. So this is what you get. Pregnancy is her medical condition and you aren't going to be involved. Sorry if that bothers you, but you can't be disinterested in OP as a person and push her away for years, then suddenly expect her to call you and give you intimate details about her body and her daily life because you want something different now that she's having a grandchild. That's not how relationships work, and that's pretty insulting. OP isn't an incubator, the means for you to become a grandmother. She's a person, your daughter-in-law, my wife. You can't expect her to give you updates on the pregnancy when you have never shown any interest in her before. That's rude and transparent. I'm really disappointed in you, and I definitely don't expect my wife to put up with this disrespectful behavior. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's very thought out.
Yeah?
And I think that, it's very to the point, clear, I feel. But
yeah.
I'm trying to like look at it through, mother-in-law's eyes of like, how could I manipulate this into being like, oh, like, I just like, I feel like you're attacking me. You're coming after me because like, all I want to do is see my grandchild and like, like, how dare you not want me to be involved? I feel like that'll be like the response. Like, so I feel like as much as you try to like spoon feed her the answers, I feel like she's still gonna just react how she does.
Oh, totally.
And just be like, oh, like if she were to respond to that, it would be like, oh, how dare you say that? How dare you think of me in this light? Da, 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 even though that is how I, presented myself.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think that the way that some things were worded in that suggestion was a little harsh to me, I think. But like,
well, it seems like they, the first conversation was very respectful and calm, which but we don't know what was said, obviously, or the tone or anything. But I mean, I agree. I feel like that, but maybe that's how they, not like beating around the bush or anything, but I feel like maybe they weren't as clear or something.
Maybe.
Like, so now it's like, okay, now we just gotta hammer it in,
That makes sense. Comment number 3 says, the only way to win is to not play. She wants access to the baby. Send a question mark text and give her no information. Tell your husband self-respect and self-preservation mean you don't chase people for attention And you don't share personal medical information with someone who usually acts if you're not in the room and gives you the silent treatment. I'd be polite and indifferent, and she'd be the last to know anything from me. No appointments, no gender reveal, no at the hospital, no first visit, no babysitting. Your husband can handle her. Ship has sailed. She's not on your team, so she gets polite and nothing else. Comment number 4 says, they all are copying the same book. Only you must work on maintaining relationships because she's too good for this. You must beg her to stay in your life. When you giving them space as they're so distant, they're giving you a sandwich. Guilt trip / love bombing, silent treatment, guilt trip. Don't need it. Comment 5 says she's framing her texting you from her own selfish perspective, so she can, quote, find out how things are going and what plans may be. That's not genuinely inquiring about how you are. That's telling you about what she expects and what she wants. And we do have an update. Thank you all for your advice and support. I also appreciate the people who play devil's advocate just so I can see a different perspective. With all of that said, I received another text today from mother-in-law. I did not respond yesterday because I didn't know what to say, and I don't think she liked that. This is the text I got today. Good afternoon. Just wanted to follow up and see if you received my texts yesterday afternoon. I know I don't always see my new texts. Thank you. I took a while to figure out exactly what to say and actually went with one of the ideas in this thread. I thought it was very respectful but straightforward. My husband agreed and I sent it. This is what I sent. Thanks for reaching out, mother-in-law. At the moment, there isn't much about the pregnancy to talk about. We're trying to keep life simple and stress-free, not really planning anything beyond that at the moment. Myself and baby are healthy, and husband and I are slowly sorting out what our preferences are. If and when we have updates, husband will share them with you. Thank you for understanding. Her response was the following. Maybe we can clear something up if you don't mind. Is it me you don't want to hang out with, or you don't want to discuss the baby? The baby is not the reason I was asking to see you. I'm happy to have coffee and just be. No set date, no pressure, expectations, just a road to friendship. If it's me, well, that's something different. Awkward question, but thank you for understanding why it would be nice to know. I feel like she is trying to save face and control the narrative of the conversation. She had shown zero signs of wanting a friendship with me, actually the opposite, prior to her texting my husband with her complaints about how I don't communicate with her about our baby information. I feel that the conversation changed direction after I made the boundary clear, that we won't be pressured into sharing information. Then she changed it to, I want friendship. Am I reaching with this one? Part of me questions whether I'm overanalyzing because of my nervous system is on edge with her, or if it's just pattern recognition. Thoughts? Also, husband is going to be reaching out to her tomorrow in writing and making it clear that there will be no more guilt tripping or entitlement going forward. I will not be responding to her last message, nor will I be communicating any updates. Only my husband will be. And there are some comments here.
Wait, so he's like writing a contract or something? Because he said he's gonna like write it up, like his response to that, and like
Wait,
give
that
it
is
to her.
actually so funny.
Like, these are our terms.
Yeah. Unless it's like over a text, if that's what they meant with in writing, in which
Oh.
case I hope it's not. We do have some comments here. One commenter says, awesome Grey Rock message to her, and I agree, not responding to her last message. You're not overanalyzing. She's just trying to get her controlling foot in the door before her grandbaby arrives. Why on earth does she think that transparent play gets any traction with you? I don't know. Glad your dear husband is on your side. Edit, my extremely immature self would love to reply, "Durr." Kiwi saying for, yep, you've said it. Comment number 2 says, as said, she knows that she effed up. As if she wants regular access to your baby, she's going to need to be on good terms with you, and that's not what she's cultivated thus far. At this point, the response from the last post that says, I'm content with the relationship we have now should suffice. No more, no less. You don't get to be nasty for a sustained period and then try to climb up your butt now that she knows there's a baby soon. Keep her at arm's length. She hasn't changed one bit. She's still the same a-hole that she was before you were pregnant. Now she's just the a-hole who wants to play amnesia and pretend that she hasn't treated you badly because she's now realizing you're going to have something that she wants access to. Remember, her first gambit was to complain about you to your husband. That could have created discord in your marriage if he was a spineless mama's boy, like some that we see here on Reddit. Let husband manage this. He also needs to be clear with her that her requests for friendship, now after a pregnancy announcement, after years of treating you badly no less, is somewhat transparent. Friendship is earned. She doesn't get to demand a fast-track friendship because there's going to be a baby. Comment 3 says, absolutely leave communication to husband. I do strongly suggest that your husband make it clear to his mother that you both see the very fake attempts by mother-in-law towards you. Like something like this. Mom, if you were actually truly interested in OP and having a friendship with her, you would have sent that text to her 5 years ago, long before she was pregnant. Let me be clear, Mom. This is the relationship that you chose for the entirety of my relationship with OP. Her being pregnant changes nothing about her relationship with you. Actions have consequences, and you have been deliberate in your actions towards my wife. From here on out, please only communicate with me. OP will not be responding to your calls or texts. Comment number 4 says, good for you. That was handled very well. She definitely is trying to put you on the spot with her last message. Husband can send her a message listing everything that she has done and said to you that was not okay, and inform her that she is not welcome to contact you at all, that you don't need any additional stressors while pregnant, and while she does in fact cause and create stress, you and the baby need to remain healthy. She will only be allowed contact with her son. Block her from your phone and all social media platforms too. You and your husband did a great job. Comment 5 says, if this was the truth, she would have reached out before she found out that you were pregnant. So it is not the case. And we do have a second update.
No way. I mean, honestly, kind of want to see what happens.
I want to see what happens too. I feel like it just escalated so fast. She showed up to his work. Yes, mother-in-law showed up to husband's work right when he was getting off, and he said that it felt like he was being ambushed. She claimed that she had to pick up a prescription right down the street, so she stopped by. But husband saw right through it. After her last text the night before, I didn't respond. Husband was going to send her a text after work to address the issue and our boundaries. She didn't like not having a response right when she wanted it, so she showed up, even though it was only 1 day without a response. My husband was furious and texted me that he was bringing her to our house, which is 3 minutes from his work, because he didn't want to yell in front of his coworkers. I saw that text and my blood pressure went through the roof. I immediately felt overwhelmed with stress, and my body was telling me that this is just too much. So I didn't go home. I stayed out until she left. My husband told me everything about the conversation. He said he told her he was not happy with her passive aggression and such. She tried to deflect, but he would shut it down. She would try I guess I'm just a horrible person, and he would shut it down. He said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you want to hear, that you're a good person. Stop playing the victim and actually take accountability. The conversation lasted for 3 hours, and it was basically that the entire time. He even pointed out exactly where in the text that she was being passive aggressive, and he said, I'm not stupid, you're not stupid. You knew exactly what it sounded like when you sent it. She tried claiming that her texts to me were an olive branch to try and mend a relationship. He told her, in what world would that be an olive branch? Nobody would want to talk to someone who is passive aggressive in their efforts to make amends. She also kept saying things like, she's never going to talk to me. I guess we will just be estranged. And it's irreparable damage. Husband told her that she needs to quit doing what she's doing and things would be better. After he ripped her a new one, she drafted an apology text to me. First sent it to husband to make sure it was good enough, and then had to let him know that she sent it to me, which I also find weird. Almost like she wanted recognition for apologizing? I don't know. However, the apology was well written and had zero passive aggression or deflection in it, so that's good. Her apology said, I am very sorry for the passive aggressive nature of my first text regarding hanging out. I will do my best not to do it again. I know the only reason she apologized was because husband called her on it, but she has never even come close to an apology like this. Then husband tells me that he had called his father to tell him that his mother showing up to his work was ridiculous and her behavior needs to be checked. Father-in-law said that he didn't understand why this was as big as it was. He read the texts that she had sent, and they didn't seem passive-aggressive to him. Husband told him to reread it. By the way, you can re-listen to full stories with episodes just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. You can listen to them over and over and over as we reread those stories. There is a little bit more to the story, but I'm at least glad that the husband is standing up for OP.
Yes, I agree. I think hubby, great job. Snaps for hubby. But I also, even though that was her apology, it kind of also wasn't, because she went through him first and he might have edited it. If she's
Possible.
oh, I was going to send her this. Does this sound good?
Yeah, you'd have to check with the husband on that.
yeah,
For
I'd be
sure.
like, okay, is this her apology or your apology?
Right.
So I'm not entirely sure if I believe it. I understand now that this is like a step in the right direction. Like she's
Sure.
trying, but I cannot figure out if it's genuine or not.
Apparently, father-in-law and mother-in-law want to sit down for another conversation. I told husband that I am just not comfortable with it, and I've already done this once before, and she didn't care about anything I had to say. However, husband said that it might be different with his dad there. I don't think so, because it sounds like he is just her enabler, but whatever. I told him that if I do this, I will not be holding back. I will keep it respectful and not emotional, but I'm going to let them both know why I am where I am. I understand that if I'm dealing with a true self-absorbed person, nothing I say will change anything, but at least I can say I did absolutely every effort on my part to make this relationship work. I even suggested to husband to go see a therapist with her, and he said that she will never do it. But if she really means it when she acts upset that we will be estranged, then she would do the therapy. Yep. And that's the end of that story. Okay.
Wow, so there's like not. Dang, I wanted to know what the next meeting was gonna be about.
Me too. I wanna hear OP let her have it.
Yeah, I want to see, like, I feel like it wouldn't make a difference whether the father-in-law was there or not, because he even read the text, was like, I don't really get it. What's the big deal? And it's like, okay, so you're under the spell too. Got it.
Yeah. My husband and I married out of convenience and accidentally fell in love.
What kind of perks are we talking about here?
My husband and I are 24. We've been very close friends since we were 14 and have been married for about 5 months now. The thing is, our marriage was strictly out of convenience. By the way, this comes from Throwaway2433, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Angie.
I'm Riley.
And I'm Dakota.
I'm Ellen.
And we're all here to give good advice goofily while getting our hair cut. And, but we don't have all the answers. We just know what we would do in these situations. So let us know what you would do in the comments. NOP says, I was a single mom to a 1-year-old. His father and I haven't been together since I was 3 months pregnant. And my husband had just taken guardianship of his cousin, who's only a few months younger than my son. Wow. Since the kids are so close in age, we decided pretty much immediately to introduce them to each other. They've been best little friends ever since, and after that, my son and I were over at their house every day. The marriage was purely my idea. My son and I were practically living at their house, and we had already had a conversation about raising the kids together. I figured, why not?
So you guys were just great co-parents. Okay.
We'd get the tax benefits, could combine our incomes, and have the kids grow up in a 2-parent household. I did think about the chance that one of us could find someone else down the line and F everything up, but it wasn't high on my radar. I gave up on relationships after my son's father, and my husband wasn't really the type for relationships before we got married. I've never even really seen him express interest in someone before since I've known him. We've always had a running joke with our friends that he'd be the single uncle that one of our kids would have to take care of when he gets old. Clearly, we didn't think that he'd become an adoptive father, but that's besides the point. Anyways, I brought it up to him kind of as a joke one night. I was terrified to be serious about it. I don't know why. And then we were married 3 weeks later.
Oh, wow. You guys are getting to it.
Wow. Everything happened so fast, and it's still insane to me because I fully expected him to call me stupid for even coming up with the idea. I did not expect him to agree and follow through so quickly. But that's the long backstory on everything. The first few weeks of our marriage felt no different than what we were doing. The only real difference was my son and I moved in, and we're living with him. As of right now, we live in a 3-bedroom apartment. Babies share a room, and my husband and I share a room. It was definitely weird sleeping in the same bed every night, but we both got used to it eventually.
I bet you did.
Uh-oh, uh-oh.
Oh, don't touch me with your toe and your cold feet. I don't like that.
What? Is that them?
Yeah. That's what people in this scenario would do.
Okay, gotcha. After maybe the first month, I got too used to it and started completely sleeping through my alarms. I don't know why, but I've started sleeping so heavily that I have to be physically woken up. So every morning when my alarms go off and they wake up my husband, he rolls over, rubs my back, and whispers into my ear to wake me up. For background, my husband is a pretty prickly person. He doesn't like physical contact with other people. In our entire 10 years of being friends, we hugged once. So this literally rewrites my brain chemistry every morning. Like, what the F? Even typing this out right now, I'm genuinely getting butterflies, and it's so weird. I probably sound so stupid, but that's not it. Around the same time, he started bringing me home flowers every Friday night. I was majorly confused the first time, but he said he's trying to set a good example for what relationships should look like for the kids. He grew up with a single mom and never met his dad, so he didn't necessarily have a good example himself. Even though he's using it to set an example, it genuinely makes me so effing happy every Friday. I literally look forward to getting home from work and seeing what bouquet he got this time. Oh, that's so cute. Now
Aw.
you can never stop that. Now you've started something that you can never stop.
Something that's very expensive.
She's going to expect a new bouquet every week now.
It's going to put you out maybe $80 to $100, depending on where you go.
Every month or year?
Month.
Dang. I'm not sure exactly what I'm feeling, if I'm just over-romanticizing the situation and looking too much into things, but the past couple of weeks, I've been feeling like a child with a crush. He makes me blush just from looking at me. I've never felt that way about anyone before. Now I'm feeling ultra stupid because what if I catch feelings and he doesn't? Then I'm just in a one-sided marriage.
Then you have to get divorced, or you guys have to like each other.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Just like each other. Why is that so hard? Okay, hear me out, OP. You convinced this guy to get married to you. I think you convinced this guy to catch feelings for you. I don't think it's that hard.
Listen, because he's probably not doing everything here out of, out of the, need to. You know what I mean? Like, he's not just faking this. Like, I don't know. After a while, you're going to have to want to get flowers. And you're going to have to want to wake someone up like that, you know? If you really didn't like someone, you would have to wake them up, hey! Like that.
Like how she does with me every day.
No.
But because love is what, Angelina?
Love is kind.
And?
Love is patient.
And?
Love is...
I didn't know you were going to quote the Bible verse. I was going to say, love is a choice. Every day you have to wake up.
Yeah.
Love that person.
That is true. And love is an action. And these actions that he is doing is proving that he loves you.
Love's a freaking verb, y'all.
Love's a freaking verb. That's what I like to say.
I just love how this story, I think it's the only story we've had where it's like, what happens if I accidentally love my husband?
Yeah. It's such a rare situation. This is strange.
What we gonna do?
What happens? We just stay like that then. We do have an edit here. Thank you so much for all the advice. Redditors have made me realize in a few short hours that I am in fact in love with my own husband, LMAO. His birthday is on Christmas, so I'm thinking of doing something special to just show my appreciation for him first. Now this is a Christmas Hallmark movie? What? This rom-com just got updated to Christmas Hallmark rom-com level? Dude, you're winning even harder now.
Who knows what would happen here?
Nothing crazy like one comment suggested. Hopefully I'll have an update for you all soon. And hopefully it's what you all want. LOL. We do have some comments from OP. I don't even know how to approach the topic. I also need to sort through my feelings first and make sure it's real before I say anything. I am terrified of jumping the shark on this. He uses our third bedroom as our home office, and our bedroom isn't big enough for 2 beds. I keep joking about bunk beds, but he's not fond of the idea. Even before our marriage, I've always made him little treats and stuff here and there. He's a huge tea lover, so I've been trying to perfect an Earl Grey shortbread cookie recipe for years now. I make those for him often. I wear sweats and his old t-shirts to bed. I mean, yes, we don't have to live under the same roof to be legally married, but it's for tax reasons and our kids. Easier to raise them together under the same roof. I have this entire arrangement to lose. We did this for the kids, and if I let my feelings get in the way of that, I'd be the worst mother ever. People keep saying this, and it's starting to make sense. I guess a comment that we're not seeing. I slept on our couch the first few days until my husband came out at 2 a.m. and brought me to bed. I didn't want to make him uncomfortable in any way, but he was really insistent on it being a non-issue. I use brought loosely, though. He came, woke me up by hitting me with a throw pillow, and told me, stop being stupid with the sleeping arrangement. Definitely wasn't a romantic gesture by normal standards. That's so funny. Somebody in the comments says to buy some lingerie and get to it. As funny as it was to read that whole plan and everything, I'd probably upset him doing all of that. He's not a man who's very spicily driven, per se. Genuinely did not know how else to word that, LMAO. We didn't have a conversation about that prior to the marriage. Not about spicy stuff, but about another comment. We've been friends for so long and I hadn't felt those kinds of feelings for him before. I don't even think I considered this until recently. Okie dokie. Update 5 days later. Hi, everyone. I want to thank you all for your input and well wishes. It helped me come to my senses quicker than I would have on my own. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope this update gives you all some peace of mind. I did end up taking some of your advice and...
Girl, you're crazy. You took the advice. You did it.
Everyone's going to yell at you for that. Everyone yell at him for that because that scared me with my headphones on.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
What
Riley.
advice did you take?
That was crazy.
But I mean, kind of valid. Kind of valid. Entirely valid.
So I planned a nice gesture for my husband yesterday. My goal in mind wasn't to confess to him because I wanted to wait on that, but to just show how much I appreciated him for everything that he does for our family. The original plan was to offer a back massage after we put the kids to bed. So I bought some candles, massage oil, and even a cute little pajama set to wear.
Oh, babe, we know what you're doing. We know you want it. Just say it. Stop beating around the bush.
Opie says, I don't know where my mind was at with that. I was deep into fantasy land, LOL. The point was to make it relaxing, but also kind of set a romantic mood. Well, it didn't happen. My husband completely uprooted my plans that morning. Up until now, we've been wearing some cheap and super simple wedding bands that weren't anything special. But for Christmas, he gifted me a whole set. A wedding band and engagement ring? I'm sorry, that's not something that you just gift someone in like a box under the tree. That's someone you do have to get down on one knee for. He didn't just hand it to me wrapped, though. Wait a second. He actually did get down on one knee. He proposed? What? When I tell you, I cried. I thought I was hallucinating, and I still feel like I am. Every single one of you were right. This was never a marriage of convenience to him. He's been in love with me since we were in high school. And just never thought to tell me even after we were already married. That's hilarious.
Because he didn't know how. My wife. My life is so hard. I just didn't have the words. He loves me.
Riley would actually really cry for real tears of joy if you listen to full episodes of stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Just search OK Storytime. But there is a little bit more to this story. We had a lot of long conversations after the initial confession. I will be sparing details because I didn't expect it to turn out this way, and I'd like it to remain a private moment between us.
Oh, we get to hear it, girlie.
At the end of the day, we're still trying to raise 2 toddlers and have agreed that they will always be our primary focus. But we are going to give a relationship a real shot. I will admit it's kind of scary, but I do think that this is the next step towards healing after my last relationship. I feel truly loved by my husband. I think that this is where I'm meant to be. And that's the end of that story. Oh, they lived happily ever after.
Wow, I'm definitely going to have to write a movie about this now.
I accidentally gave birth in my friend's car. Now she and her husband won't speak to me. That's not my choice. This is my baby's fault. Blame her. I'm very aware this sounds ridiculous, but I'm so tired of worrying about this. I need some outside perspective. This all happened almost 2 weeks ago now. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Car Baby, and if you want to spit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia. I'm Savannah.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, I was almost 38 weeks pregnant then. My partner left for an afternoon to help out her brother, which we were both fine with. She was only an hour and a half drive away, and neither of us saw this coming. And my friend Alice offered to come spend the day with me, so I wasn't alone. Honestly, it was really nice to have her there. We just watched some movies and hung out, and even though I was so uncomfortable throughout the day, I didn't consider I might actually be going into labor. I had been feeling discomfort for ages.
At some point, we did realize that this was the real deal, and I called my wife. We considered waiting until she got back, but things started to get real very fast. And I asked Alice to drive me to the hospital. She was fine with this, I think. We didn't fully make it to the hospital, and I ended up having my daughter in her husband's car. Oh my God! We were both fine, luckily. I had a few complications, which are now okay again. Our baby is beyond perfect, and though my wife is having a hard time with having missed her birth, we have a wonderful tiny human to focus on. Things have been really messed up with Alice and her husband, though, and I don't know how to solve it. 2 days after that happened, I sent her a message thanking her again for everything she had done and told her, lighthearted but sincere, to please send me a bill for having the car cleaned. She didn't reply for a while and in the end just liked the message. I've messaged her a few times since and she hasn't replied, and her husband sent me a message saying not to message her and congrats on the baby, but thanks for effing up his car. I feel so lost, and please don't get me wrong, of course my priority is with my little family right now, but this does keep crossing my mind. This is so unlike her. Her husband and I were never the closest. I don't love how he speaks to her sometimes, but still we're friendly. I don't know how to solve this. Did I traumatize her so much, and do I need to leave her alone? Do I keep trying? I'm so grateful for all that she's done that day. And we've got some comments. But before we get into the comments and the update, do you have any thoughts about why she could be reacting this way?
I mean, I guess they just hold their car in high regard. They're putting their car over people, which is weird, but I guess, you know, to each their own. I don't know. My first thought if someone were to like give birth in my car isn't like,
the seats, the leather.
I'm never gonna, your umbilical cord is wrapped around my gear shift. Oh my God. This is horrible, guys. Get it together. Like, that's not, sorry. I would be like, are you okay? What do we need to do? Don't worry about the mess that's coming out of you.
Yeah.
Like,
I would be a little bit worried that this was the husband, because OP said, you know, I don't like how he treats her. And we know that he clearly cares about his car a lot. I wonder if he was pretty upset about the car thing.
I was also wondering that.
Yeah.
And if it was kind of like a, don't answer her, like, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. We don't know yet, but we got some comments.
annoying.
Comment from an auto detailer. I will say this is considered a biohazard job and will be very expensive to decontaminate and clean properly. So please be prepared for a fairly significant bill once you find someone capable and willing to take on such a job. Congrats, Mama. I hope you're doing good, and I hope your friend is okay too. Definitely suspicious like the rest of the folks in here. Update! This is quite overwhelming, so I hope it's okay I do this here. I'm going to try and reach out to her again, but not through text, or maybe I can ask one of our mutual friends to meet up with her. I don't know yet, but going to try and check in on her in some way. Also, we plan to pay them back since this happened. No worries. We're aware that I messed up their car in a big way. Thanks for all the replies, truly. I got a lot of great advice and insights, and I'm going to figure out my next steps. And we've got a second update. I've reached out to her and apologized once again for everything I put them through, both car and trauma-wise, and said once more that I'd really like to pay to fix all of this, regardless of the cost, or if they want, I can try to reach out to some professionals and try to sort everything ourselves. Anything to make it right, as well as asking if they want me to rent them something. Though I think my sincerity in my first message to pay everything was clear, I don't want to take any chances. I will add that any other messages I had sent her were very serious and worried. I never joked about paying. I feel awful about what I did to their car. I'll make it right as we were planning to, but try to be more proactive about it. This all has been quite overwhelming, but very needed. And we've got a third update. I think OP has done everything in her power.
Yeah, I don't understand what else they could do except maybe give the child to you. Is that what you want? Like,
Do you want my child? It was born in your car, so it's yours now?
It's technically your property.
Yeah. Is that how it works?
Is that what you're
Is
mad
that the
about?
rules now?
my car, my baby.
Yeah. But we've got a third update. OP, you're not the a-hole. Stop feeling bad. You had a baby. Can't control that.
Literally, like, what? Why are they making you feel bad for giving birth? It's not like you can, like, hold that off. Like,
No.
if it's coming, it's coming.
It's coming.
You can't be like, oh, I'll hold it.
Like hold it.
Just when the baby's ready, the baby's gonna come. That baby is coming.
And it's here.
And it's here. And it just so happened to be in your car.
Sorry about that. Update 3. She's deleted and blocked me now. I'm at a loss. I'll continue trying to make this right and reach out some places to get some estimates and contact insurance, so on. We're taking this very seriously, I promise. OP, honestly, I don't think this is a very good friend.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. And they also, like, the fact that they want you to pay for the stuff, but then they don't, or I don't even know if they do want her to pay for it. Like, because they said, like, they would, but now you're, like, blocked and, you know, deleted on everything. So it's like, so how am I supposed to get in contact with that? What, are you just going to send me the bill and be like, pay for this?
It just doesn't make sense to me to be mad about something that someone is trying to fix.
Yes.
You know?
Right?
I
like,
still feel like
actively.
it's the husband.
I agree. I completely agree.
Also read some of the comments, and apparently this has happened to a lot of people in the comments, but apparently there's a good chance the car's totaled too.
Anyway, we've got a fourth update. I saw Alice a few days ago. She came to our house unexpectedly. I actually had just gone out. My wife had to call me. This was after she had blocked me. I know a lot of you were upset with her, and a lot of you with her guy, but we're getting to it. But I was just so dang happy to see her. I immediately started bawling, and she did too. She apologized, so did I. We had a long conversation, which I'll kind of try to summarize. Everything that happened had been a lot for her, which is so fair, and she was having a hard time processing it. But she initially didn't feel upset with me. Her husband had been furious, though. He already isn't our biggest fan, so this really set him off at her as well. Don't get me wrong, I don't blame him for being upset about his car, but I do wish we had had different or better communication. He had been fuming we hadn't reached out sooner after the baby was born, and that my first message wasn't more apologetic.
Oh my.
She had a baby.
Yeah, that was kind of, the car, I think, was the last thing on priorities. I'd be like, I just had a baby. What do I do now? Especially if it's like your first child.
Yeah.
And you're like,
which it sounds like it is.
yeah, it does. It very much sounds like
Yeah.
a first child. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm it. Because I feel like that wouldn't have happened with the second child. You would have been like, yeah, let's not have that happen again.
Let's work on this.
Yeah.
In her words, over the weeks following everything, she started to feel angry at me and us because he convinced her to. And my messaging and reaching out then was just too much in that moment. After our silence, she realized she wasn't upset with me, but the situation, and should be relieved everyone was okay. And even asked her husband to stop bringing it up because she was sick of it. We agreed we really just wanted to be okay again, though she admitted she'd have to build it up slowly because, again, her husband. I also apologized again for everything and how I wish I had done things differently. Genuinely, what would you have done differently?
Yeah, what could you have done?
Yeah.
Should you have pulled over and then done it like outside the car,
Yeah.
I guess?
Should we have done it outside of the car? Should
like
be.
it's like halfway out and you're like, no. Get out of the car. Go get her out,
Yeah.
get her out.
I'm not. If my friend is giving birth, I am not allowing them to call an ambulance and pay like $2,000 to $4,000.
Yeah.
No. Opie says she even made a small joke that she's proud to be such a big part of her birth story, which honestly gave me more relief than anything else she said. I hope she'll be okay. Don't love the guy, but I can't do more than be your friend, I think. And I would hope that you guys can do more by listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I mean, I see why they would be upset.
Yeah.
But also, at the end of the day, it is not OP's fault.
Nope.
Babies come when they want to come.
Babies
And
come and go.
there is no stopping that train once it gets rolling.
Yeah.
So, they should be have a little sympathy.
Yeah.
They shouldn't just be like, oh, how dare you do that purposely in my car. Now there's so many liquids and fluids. Oh,
But
your entire existence is in this car.
yeah, but like on the point of her husband convincing her to be mad at OP, I was talking to my boyfriend kind of on the opposite end last night where he was like, I never really cared about Conan last night or until I watched this YouTube video where they were like, Conan's the best late night TV show host. And if someone says something convincing enough, you can like change your opinion about someone.
That's me every day.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because this clearly her husband is very manipulative.
Yeah.
And I hope that she realizes that. But
Yeah.
that's the end. Or that's not the end. There's a little bit left.
Oh.
But there's a little bit left. Luckily, the car isn't totaled. I was terrified of this and feel stupid for not realizing it was an option. Thank you all for pointing it out. Only the front seat where I was sitting was messed up. And TMI, my sweatpants took the worst of the mess, I guess. Car is already cleaned and fixed before Alice even came. He has it back and we paid back everything. He doesn't like driving it anymore. That's all I think. Wife, baby, and I are okay. She's a month old already, which is wild. I realized I do have so much trauma left from the whole birth, which mostly started to hit me when I wasn't obsessing over Alice anymore. So, gotta work on that. Thank you all for the love, the support, but also for helping me realize I should have done things differently. Reddit can be overwhelming, but you've helped me a lot. And that's the end of the story.
My husband called me lazy, so I checked out.
You wanna see lazy? I'll give you lazy.
My husband and I have been together for 9 years now, and yes, we are currently in marriage therapy and have been for roughly 7 months, though admittedly, I am considering canceling future sessions. We have a 2-year-old together, no other kids. Our relationship prior to our baby was a happy one. By the way, this comes from Possible Mall 1733, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I am Savannah.
I'm Sophia.
And we are here to give some good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We don't only tell you what we would do in this situation, but we would love to know what you would do in the comments. As OP says, when our child was around 2.5 weeks old, I was diagnosed with PPD. I honestly think it was simply struggling with being alone more than anything. We moved away from my mother when our baby was only a day old. He basically said, "Oh, I found us an apartment, we move in today," as we were staying in my mom's basement apartment to save to buy a home, and this was 100% sprung on me with no discussion. That's not cool.
No.
That's not okay.
Not
That's
having, yeah, you just had a baby and has PPD, and then he's like, we're moving, let's go.
He only took 2 days off work, so basically the first couple weeks of our child's life, I was isolated in an apartment in unfamiliar territory with a brand new baby and surrounded by boxes of our stuff. He left for work at 5 a.m. and often did not come home until after 5 p.m. I was terrified and irritable, and instead of seeing it for what it was, despite me literally telling him what was wrong, he just ultimately decided he could not handle my anger. He started hanging out with his buddies outside our apartment complex for a few hours at least every single night. It was a very telling time of our relationship where he basically abandoned me. He loved our child and did everything when he was home, but the problem was that he hardly ever was home. Eventually, I turned ice cold, which is the only way I know how to put it. I stopped caring that he was not home, and I worked through my PPD essentially alone. He tried smartening up once I was better, but the damage was already done. He suggested therapy, and I agreed. In essence, a lot feels better now. I started feeling like I actually loved him again. He started taking accountability for everything he did and did everything he could to make it up to me. Things were going well. But that leads us to this issue. I am technically a stay-at-home mom, but I also own an online shop and bring in around $900 a month. That's nice. It is not much, but I only spend maybe 2 hours a day on my business, and the rest of the time is dedicated to our child. I buy all home necessities. He pays the bills. And for literal months, he has told me that he prefers this and that even the little bit I bring in helps him tremendously and that he enjoys our arrangement. I now realize he was lying. Don't you just love that when people say exactly the opposite of how they feel and just act like everything's okay, and then later on it blows up in your face and all of a sudden it's your fault for them lying to you in the first place and you believing it? Love that.
Favorite thing.
Love that. I love the gaslighting. That's my favorite thing about being with any person.
This guy stinks. Right after you had your baby, too.
Right, yeah.
Why
It's
couldn't he show his true colors before the baby?
Right? He picked a fight with me a week ago. He had the day off and I told him I was leaving the baby with him while I went grocery shopping because he is sick. He acted totally fine with it. By the time I got home 2.5 hours later, he was livid. He was trying to play some game with his online buddies and our baby was not having it.
Well, then maybe you know what to do.
Yeah.
Maybe if your baby doesn't like that you're playing video games, you got to go take care of your baby and not the video game.
Yeah, there's sacrifices that need to be made for an actual human being that you yourself created.
A newborn. Yeah.
Like, please. As stated, they are sick. So my husband is getting irritated because he is being interrupted and the baby is screaming into his microphone. I get the baby calmed down and put away the groceries and then take a seat on the couch. My husband looks at me and I kind of chuckle and say, I'm glad you see what I go through every day. He goes, what do you mean? So I told him that he tells me I take the stay-at-home mom role for granted and that he would love to stay home. He snapped. He said the difference between me and him is that he actually works and never gets a break, that I don't want to work. And if I did, I would find a real job so he would not have to work so much. I asked him when the heck I ever get a break, as this is literally the first time I have been away from our child. He goes, you get a break every single time you take a nap with them, and made some comment about laziness.
Really? Really? Every time you take a nap with them, you get a break?
Yeah, and I bet you anything, she's also staying up with the baby when it wakes up throughout the night.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, wow. Okay,
And-
so she's not allowed to sleep.
Yeah.
And she has to get the groceries, and she has to take care of the baby all the time, and he just gets to play video games?
yeah, and he works, which understandably, like, you know, probably sucks or isn't a great job, but, you know, whatever. He gets to work. He brings in the money. She also works.
Yeah.
Brings in some money while also taking care of the child and taking care of herself
Exactly.
and taking care of the house and the groceries and everything else and just making sure that the house is nice and not, you know, infested with rats when you come home.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, maybe,
A little gratitude?
yeah,
Just
maybe
a
be
little.
like, you know what? I'm really happy that we are all, well, I mean, they're sick right now,
Yeah.
but I'm really happy that everyone is surviving right
Yeah.
now. Everyone's
alive.
healthy for the most part, and there's food on the table.
Yeah.
That's really all you can ask for. But now he
I
didn't
bet
get to play his video games with his friends.
Aw, boo-hoo.
Oh no, oh no, I have to take care of my child. Ugh. Our son has quite literally not taken a nap in dang near 3 months.
Oh, so he's not even telling the truth about that.
And even when he did take a nap prior, I stayed awake and worked on my business. I do not nap. So I told him that, and he immediately tells me that that is a crock of crap.
Crock of crap.
Crock of crap. Keep in mind, he was on his microphone the entire time, so all his friends heard this.
Oh my
That's
god.
crazy.
Oh my god.
For him not to, like, step away.
Yeah.
I did not argue further, but I took my ring off. Ooh.
Ooh.
Now that's a telltale sign.
Yeah.
After that, I stopped doing all his laundry. I stopped plating his dinner plates and just left his food in the pots, pans, or Tupperware with the rest of the leftovers. I no longer prep the coffee pot in the morning to brew at 5 a.m. for him. I stopped sending him update texts through the day. I stopped sending him daily pictures of our child. I stopped cleaning up after him, which means all his plates are still on the counters. All his dirty clothing is strewn along the home, and his desk has 4 dirty cups and snack wrappers. He has made comments a few times throughout the week saying this house is always effing trashed. I ignore it. Not all of it is his mess, but about 90% of it is. I simply stop putting the baby's toys away every time he gets done playing, so there are toys everywhere too. Yesterday, he came home and I was already in bed with the baby and did not greet him. He ended up picking up some of his garbage and came in to say we need to talk and that this is being pushed too far. And obviously he didn't mean it. He was just stressed out because he had dealt with the baby screaming for 2.5 hours straight. By the way, we'll never stress you out, because you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast app and just type in OK Story Time. There is a little bit more, but any thoughts?
I don't think we necessarily have to jump to divorce yet. However, if there is not a just big change in the effort that he's putting in at home, then counseling, we need something to change, because it can't keep going on like this.
It's hard. And you can't compare the working life to a stay-at-home parent. They're completely different things.
Oh yeah,
And they're meant for completely different people. So,
absolutely.
you know, you can't compare those two things. It's hard. And there has to be like a very big sit-down talk that has to happen, and a very big like compromise of what the roles are. Anyway, I told him the damage was already done, especially considering he was a piece of crap for over a year, not even 7 months ago. He did
Ooh.
he did not get to bounce back to being a piece of crap that quickly when what he did before is still etched heavy in my head. I told him that no, I will not get over his comments, and I do not even know if I want to continue this marriage.
Whoa. Okay. So it seems like there was just a lot going on before the baby.
Yeah.
So
He said everything he said is not enough to warrant a divorce and that he is sorry. I do not even want to look at him, though. That's
dang.
the end.
Dang. It seems like they're on the way to divorce.
Yeah.
It
Well, it
doesn't seem
seems
if
like-
he's yeah.
He has taken her for granted,
Yeah.
and she realizes that, and so she's like, you know what?
That's it.
Then you do your own thing. I'll deal with my stuff because I've been alone for over a year now
Yeah.
trying to deal with my stuff, and you don't care. So I now realize, oh, wait, I can lift myself up on my own. I don't need this guy holding me down or holding me back or causing me issues or making me second guess, So why would I waste my time with this guy who's just going to bring me down when I know that I can do it on my own?
Agreed.
Boom.
Yeah.
My husband wanted another kid when he's not even a present father.
You can't have a new one when you haven't worked on the first one.
And we do have a trigger warning for mentions of mistreatment, and this comes directly from the r/OK Storytime subreddit.
Oh boy.
I, 28 female, and my husband, 27 male, will be married 1 year at the end of January.
Nice.
Our marriage was forced due to needing insurance after getting accidentally pregnant 6 months into dating. Our son, 11 months male, was born in February last year, and we've gone through a lot together. But there's one thing I knew my husband wanted more than anything, and that was a big family. Originally, he told me he wanted 8 kids, which I was able to bring down to 4 because 8 kids in this economy? By the way, this comes from PB and Jeb, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit, where this is from. And I'm Carly.
I'm Sophia.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. Let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, after getting pregnant, I experienced the worst symptoms I could do nothing about. I'm talking Braxton Hicks at 6 months, nausea and morning sickness, bloating, diarrhea, yeast infections one after another, along with UTIs, pneumonia, vertigo that caused me to fall down the stairs 7 months pregnant, not to mention the worst depression and anxiety I've ever experienced.
That sucks.
Oh my God. I ended up with preeclampsia and having to be induced at 37 weeks and 2 days, only to have 47 hours of inactive labor with an aversion because my son was breached. They manually turned my son by pushing on my stomach because his head was pointed the wrong way. All the while, my epidural wasn't working properly since they didn't consider my height. I'm 6'3". I felt everything except my upper thighs. My God.
This is such a traumatic experience.
It's a lot.
Oh my goodness.
When my son was born, things were good until I had my gallbladder surgery as my
No.
last pregnancy symptom. Gallstones had built up while my son was in the womb, leading to the need to remove my gallbladder. Of course, this meant I couldn't take care of my son fully because of the wounds and medications to help with the pain. My husband thought the best thing to do was to call his aunt without telling me to take our son from me at 1 month old. I cried constantly because my baby was ripped from me without my knowledge beforehand. I was barely healed before I forced my husband to bring him back. I still get anxious if my son is with someone else now due to that incident. My son otherwise is an angel child. He's easygoing, adventurous, has a full personality that makes me laugh like crazy, and is very aware of how cute he is. I ended up becoming a stay-at-home mom due to my childcare not working out and no one able to watch my son when I worked. I'm lucky to have been able to do that. However, it isolated me a lot more than I realized it would. While pregnant, my husband assured me his family would be a support system when I had my son, as most retired early and love kids. My family was not great to me, so this was reassuring. Now my son is 11 months old, and the only time I get help from them is when my husband asks. They ignore my calls and texts, or claim they're busy, even if I ask months in advance. My husband took a work trip to Hawaii while I stayed back home on the East Coast. only for my son to get 4 teeth coming in at once.
Oh, dang.
This means I barely got 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night.
That is very rough.
Yay. This went on for weeks, leaving me super emotional and exhausted. I asked for help so I could get a shower or a nap and was met with silence or last-minute cancellations.
Why do these
Finally,
people all suck.
they all suck.
And at this point, I do think, I mean, like, I don't know how much money you have, but is there any, like, services that we can look into?
There was some issue with the childcare falling through.
Okay.
Finally, my dad came, allowing me an hour nap before he had to leave, too. I was essentially single parenting, and to make myself feel normal again, since postpartum depression hit me hard, I made a hair appointment a month and a half in advance. This was a birthday anniversary thank you gift from my husband, and I was so excited about it. My father-in-law promised to watch my son, so it was a nice break. Except my father-in-law canceled last minute. His reason? He didn't want to drive to my house 30 minutes away, but only told me when it would be impossible for me to drop my son off and get back in time for my appointment, which I originally had no issues doing and had told him as much.
And at this point, I think we know that these people are not trustworthy and we just need to stop relying on them entirely.
Yeah. This is just a small taste of the loneliness I feel, not mentioning that my husband barely listens to me and had no idea the plans for our wedding in
Oh my
October,
gosh.
honeymoon in November, or our son's birthday, all of which
Yikes.
I told him multiple times about. Emotionally, he is distant, unwilling to understand what I need. For example, my mom's passing date recently passed, the first time with my son around, and he hung up while I was venting my feelings about it to speak with his dad who called. He never called me back or messaged me. I became a maid and mother, and our spicy sleep life is non-existent. I barely feel any interest in him, whether due to loss of interest or hormones from giving birth. Recently, my husband began talking about trying for another baby, and the idea sent me into a panic attack.
Nice.
I love my son, but I can't think of bringing another life into this situation when I'm the only one who parents.
OP, why are we still with?
Yeah, he
This
doesn't sound
person?
very great.
Sounds like you've only complained about your partner.
They also only got married for the insurance.
Yeah, if we only got married for the insurance,
And
maybe
he's
we can
proving bad.
divorce for the child support.
I know this may cause my husband to leave me, but I wrote out reasoning why I don't want any more kids, and I'm considering getting my tubes tied. They're below the talking points, so I don't forget or miss anything. So we have our bullet points here. Money. Our son is already super expensive, and as he grows, I want to be able to give him as much as I can without sacrificing his happiness for younger siblings. I want to gift him trips and have the option for him to go to college debt-free. This also means we won't need a bigger house or car. Hard pregnancy. It's significantly proven that the baby juice contributes to symptoms and complications during pregnancy. For 10 months, I had the worst complications and symptoms, only to not be believed when I had preeclampsia. I do not want to experience that again, and I hated how I felt. Childcare. Our son is not able to have childcare because we can't afford it. I eventually want to return to work, and I won't be able to do that if he is the eldest, meaning a 10-year gap on my resume leading to lower wages. Our family also refuses to contribute to childcare. Lack of support. When I was pregnant, you promised your family would be there to support us. Your mom sucks. Dad can't communicate. Brother has his own issues, and aunt won't return texts unless it's from you. The support comes from you asking, not me. The recent work trip made it clear I am the last priority for your family, and I am not willing to go through this 3 more times.
Yeah.
Being a dad. While I love you, you've shown me as a partner that you are not present. Providing money is great, but our son needs a dad who pays attention to him. You've missed milestones due to being on your phone in Hawaii and not listening. Your input comes too late, and around your family, you act like a completely different person. You repeat my ideas to others as if they were your own. Other. I love our son, but this has taught me I never want to do this again. My emotional and physical well-being is more important than having additional children I would be responsible for while you leave on a second shift to work, then eventually resent me for needing a break. My career, writing, and personal growth have all suffered. Conclusion, I am aware you want more children, but I refuse. If you want more, we may have to separate so you can find someone who only wants to be a parent to multiple. I would want to remain amicable for our son's sake and because I still love you, but I do not want more children, and I do not want you to resent me for refusing. Any advice would be appreciated. We have some comments, but what do you think?
I understand why maybe you still love your husband and see the good in him, but overall it seems like he's been a pretty bad co-parent.
Yeah. Also, crazy to me that a parent or like a spouse sees this person that they love and married and like want to raise kids with suffer so much in the process, and then they're just like, so like,
Run it
let's try
back.
for another one.
Let's do it one more time.
Round 2.
Yeah.
I actually want 4.
Yeah.
You just watched her like suffer in pain for 47 hours, I think she said, on top of everything starting 6 months in.
And then not helping her at all. Yeah, I genuinely think this relationship is it can't proceed. It's tough though.
Which, I mean, her last thing about like other like let's just get divorced and you can find someone else and I will amicably be there for you to still see your son is like, you're really doing the most. Like, you are just giving him everything he wants. And I'm like, girl, take care of yourself though. Yeah. But I think that is the best for you still too.
I agree. I just think you're not, I don't know, you haven't said many, you haven't said anything favorable about your husband, so
or his family. Comment 1. My friend, this may be hard to hear, but this is all mistreatment. Omitting information, not asking your opinion, controlling who speaks to you or answers you. Every item you listed is grooming for harmful control, cutting you off from help in friends or family, having no boundaries or consideration for your well-being. It is mistreatment. You need to leave now. The longer you wait, the harder it is to get away. Choose yourself and your son. You are worthy of dignity, respect, kindness, and compassion, especially from yourself. Consider what kind of life will your children have with a harmful father. Even if he didn't directly harm them, he would be harming you, and that affects how they develop. Get out, please, by all means, get out. Comment 2, I think regardless of what he says, you should divorce. I think you need to tell him until you are ready to leave and no longer having spicy sleep with him. He will never be involved. He likes having the reputation of being a family man whilst letting you do everything alone. He's not a good partner or father. Divorce may force him into being a better dad for the time he is with his son. You need to get back to work full time. Please check out all your options for childcare and good luck. Comment 3. All of this makes me sick to my stomach, but I will focus on the 2 that made me the sickest. He took your baby from you. No baby that young should be away from mom, unless it's an absolutely unavoidable, and no baby should be forcibly removed from their mother without her consent. Unless mother is a danger or something, which you aren't. Morally, if not legally, they kidnapped your baby, and your body and mind reacted appropriately to that. Your pregnancy devastated you physically. A loving partner would not be talking expanding the family this soon. And any breaching of the future topic should start with your concerns and ideally the discussion of other options. You can build a big family without putting that burden on your family. I could never ask my partner to take that risk. I would struggle to agree if my partner, having gone through that, came and begged me to do it. I would fear losing them. This isn't even going into the fact that you two clearly aren't capable of caring for more kids financially, emotionally, or physically. We have an update. But yeah. I totally forgot about the part of him just being like, we're taking the baby to aunts.
Me too. I also forgot that. Again, there's even more reason to not be with this person.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, I have no other thoughts.
Divorce, babes. Update. I spent half the day with my dad, an hour away from my home, because I needed support. While at my father's house, I was able to get about 3 hours of sleep. It allowed me to have a cleaner head, and then I went to a checkup for my son to talk about his night walking hours. We've put him on a soy formula-based diet, suspecting he may have an allergy of some sort, which is causing him to keep waking up throughout the night. Last night, he woke up once at 5:30 a.m. for a bottle, waking again at 8, and took another 2-hour nap today. This was my first good night's sleep in almost 4 weeks. Hopefully it continues, so fingers crossed. I had an emergency appointment with my psychiatrist, whom I trust with my therapy issues as well, because I was having constant panic attacks about my situation. While on the call, she told me that the lab she ordered for me had come back. She said she's concerned about my thyroid based on what the lab showed and is sending me to a specialist. She mentioned that it could be causing my recent weight gain, low libido, and other issues I've been dealing with. Mixed with the fatigue, which she described as wartime torture, it was a recipe for disaster. When talking to my husband about my struggles with parenthood and how I felt, he agreed that he does not want any more children anytime soon. He had assumed I wanted kids soon and asked about it, but he confirmed he does not want a giant family after having our son. He also admitted that he's been distancing himself because he is overwhelmed with parenthood.
Okay.
I expressed my frustration about the situation, and he apologized.
Okay. So maybe we just needed to
maybe this is
communicate.
good. Maybe we just needed to talk.
Maybe that was the
There
only.
was a part of me that was like, is he just like terrified of being a dad all of a sudden?
Yeah, which like okay, there is an element of like
But, like,
PPD that it
let's
can affect.
communicate.
Yeah, parents. I did just kind of assume that you guys had talked about it and he wasn't showing up at all.
That's what I assumed.
But it seems like
You had
maybe
not
we just
talked at
didn't
all.
communicate.
No conversation. With the babysitter, he was attempting to save money, but after hearing how much it would mean to me, we agreed to interview a few people in our area so I could get a break every once in a while with a budget separate from our joint account. He also informed me that he yelled at his father for bailing on me for my hair appointment. What I did not know was that my husband had paid his father in advance to watch my son, only for him to bail and keep the money.
Okay. So maybe we just literally didn't communicate and there was a lot more going on behind the scenes.
He has noticed how his family has been treating me and is not happy, as they had promised support for when he had children but failed to deliver. While he is not typically someone who trusts therapy, he agreed to couples counseling to try to fix our marriage before we even think about having more children. He requested to come back to our home earlier and will take a week off to spend time with me and our son once he returns.
Okay.
This does not fix all our issues, but it's a start in the right direction.
Yeah, huge start. I thought you guys were done for.
I was so worried and y'all just hadn't talked.
Yeah, all good, I guess.
But I'll point you guys in the right direction of more full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. It's just a little bit left.
Oh boy.
Let's hear it.
Hit it.
I also want to mention that part of my emotional post was related to my mom's passing anniversary. She passed when I was 15. I knew that if she were here today, I would be able to seek her out for support during this time. I miss my mom more than anything and desperately wanted her to meet my son. She would have loved him and would have been my backbone to tell me if I was going crazy or if it was all in my head. Today I received apology flowers with a note that said, "I'm sorry for being an a-hole," which brightened my day a bit. I am seriously thankful for everyone who took the time to read my post and this one. No matter what opinions were shared, it's helpful for me to reflect on why I was so frustrated and dive deep into my own psyche. This is in no way the end of my struggles, but it may have helped to save my marriage. And that's the end of that story.
Well, power to
Wow.
ya. You figured it out.
I like that, how quickly that was so easily resolved
Yeah.
from like a conversation.
Literally, I was like, wow, like he is never around. He doesn't listen to her.
Right. She's like probably been begging him
Yeah.
to be there and he's just like ignoring. Nah.
Yeah.
He
No.
literally is just like, I was really scared and didn't want more kids, but I really thought you wanted more kids. So
And
I was
also,
just
I didn't
like,
realize that my family was being this bad.
right. And also my family sucks. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you know all of this. And also, I thought you didn't want the babysitter, or but like I'll get one for you right now.
Yeah. Communicate,
Okay.
folks. Because apparently it solved literally everything in the story.
And then the rest of it just being like an actual medical
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah,
All is well that ends well.
I suppose so.
Fingers crossed for y'all.
My husband's best friend insulted our marriage for years, and I finally exploded.
You're out.
I, 36 female, am married to my husband, Sam, 47 male. He's known his group of friends since he was about 16, and he's especially close to one. Let's call him Victor. He has been a recurring problem in our relationship. By the way, this comes from user Tomatio4633. If you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Sophia.
Oh, wow. I was drinking something. I'm Keon.
We're going to read this story. We're going to tell you what we think. You tell us what you think down in the comments. You little goobers. OP says, I met my husband just before the vid, and during lockdown, we talked constantly and connected deeply. Once restrictions eased, we finally met in person and clicked immediately. I knew early on he was someone I could spend my life with. Because of the vid, I didn't meet his friends many times before he proposed. I met Victor twice, and he seemed really nice at first. My husband and I dated for a year, got engaged, and planned our wedding for 2 years after our first date. At the time of our wedding, the vid restrictions were still strict in my country. If either the bride or groom tested positive, the wedding would be canceled. I asked my husband to be extra careful, especially in the 2 weeks leading up to the wedding. There's a particular local nightclub that was basically known as Vid Central.
Who's going to nightclubs during the vid?
People who didn't take it seriously.
That's actually crazy.
Wake up, it's time to live. That's the people.
Yikes. Yikes.
People constantly caught the vid over there. His friends wanted to throw him a bachelor party, and I agreed, but asked that they do it a month before the wedding, not close to the date. Victor insisted on holding it 10 days before the wedding.
Okay, so if, your husband catches it immediately, he'll have 10 days.
That's weird.
That is really weird.
It's weird.
Like, couldn't we do it 15 days? Like, just literally just a couple more days, and then if he got COVID, he'd be fine.
Why does that? Yeah. Why are we so insistent? I was uncomfortable, but I wanted my husband to celebrate. I told him to have fun. Just avoid that specific club. He agreed and told his friends. Victor took him to that club anyway. My husband insisted on leaving, but Victor guilt-tripped him into staying, saying he booked a $1,000 VIP table despite my husband repeatedly saying no. My husband is a huge people pleaser and went along with it.
Yeah, there is no my husband refused and got pushed into it. Your husband agreed. You told him not to do that, and then his friend said, no, please, please. And he was like, oh, okay. Like, no, just say no.
He spent $1,000.
No, nah, I don't care.
He spent $1,000.
You knew I didn't want to go there. So if I tell someone I am not going to this specific place because of this important reason, and they say, well, I know you said that, but I spent $1,000. I go, oh no, oh bummer. So you just wasted $1,000.
Why did you do that?
Why'd you do that? Well, you can go. I'm gonna not go.
Why?
You have
did
fun.
you
I'm
do
gonna
this?
stay. Stupid.
Oh, that's what I would say.
Yeah. If someone came up to me and they were like, I know you told me not to do this thing, but I did it anyway because they made me feel bad.
4 days before our wedding, my husband tested positive. 5 other guys who attended the party got it too. I was devastated and furious. We had to postpone the wedding by a week, pay extra fees, and some of my family who had gone through a lot to attend due to international travel restrictions couldn't make it anymore. I seriously considered not marrying him, not because he got sick, but because he didn't stand up for himself or for us. Ultimately, I let it go after my family and friends encouraged me to be understanding. This wasn't my only serious issue with Victor. 3 months before the wedding, my husband was renovating his flat and needed temporary storage for his TV. Victor had borrowed $100,000 from my husband to buy a 6-bedroom landed house that he lives in with just his wife.
What?
Dakota, I love you. If you asked for that amount of money,
$100,000.
Honestly, wait. Let's just take a second. $100,000 to buy a 6-bedroom house. That's an investment.
Yeah, am I getting paid back?
We're getting paid back at some point on that one, babe.
this is also
6 bedrooms, $100K?
this is also probably during the vid.
Is there any
Who's
interest, or
moving
is he
in?
just
Yeah.
paying you back 100K?
I don't know what the property values are like where you live. I don't think that exists in the country of the United States. I don't think you can buy a 6-bedroom house for $100,000.
But I think that's only an investment for Victor, unless OP's husband entered some sort of contract that said you owe me there's going to be interest on this, or when you sell it, I get some sort of piece of the pie.
You should 100% have done that.
Yes. I don't think he did.
4 bedrooms, empty. My husband asked Victor for a small favor if he could store the TV in one empty room for a few months. Victor said no, claiming his wife wouldn't allow it and that having a boxed TV would ruin the aesthetics of the house. Victor suggested my husband store it in the garden where he keeps tools, knowing it could be damaged by rain. My husband didn't push back. I ended up storing the TV in my bedroom at my parents' place. I'm Asian, live in an extremely expensive city, and moving out before marriage isn't common. For context, Victor did eventually pay the money back, but it took him 2 years. Victor is a lawyer, so is his wife, and he drives a fancy car and always needs to look rich. Victor has also been openly chauvinistic. After we got married and hung out a bit more, I started seeing his true colors. At a party after his wife had recently given birth, I told her she looked amazing and glowing. Victor chimed in and said, no, she still has weight to lose and pimples to get rid of. I heel kick you into the limitless pit.
If I ever heard someone say that, if I heard one of my boyfriend's friends saying that, I go to my boyfriend and say, I actually never want to be around that person ever again. Why are you friends with this person?
Heel kick into the infinite pit.
You suck.
Yeah, why are we like? What does he bring other than just negative energy?
He sucks.
Ew, what does he have
He's
over
a
your
lawyer.
husband?
Yeah, not a bad
Oh,
lawyer. He's
okay.
a bad lawyer.
Okay, yeah, okay, great. So he's corrupt.
We all
Yeah.
know lawyers are the greatest force of good in the world.
I'm not saying every lawyer is a bad lawyer or corrupt, but come on,
This one is.
this one can definitely is. You can tell this one's easily corrupted.
Big time.
I was livid when I heard this. She looked incredible, probably a 25-inch waist 3 months postpartum. I immediately shut him down. He frequently speaks harshly to my husband. For example, his 4-year-old daughter was trying to explain a game. I got it immediately because I work with kids, but my husband took a while. Victor said, wow, you are extremely slow. What a useless person you are, in a joking manner. It's this kind of put down disguised as humor that Victor enjoys. I understand that some guys joke harshly, but calling someone useless, stupid, or a loser feels cruel. My husband laughs it off. He's never spoken to anyone that way or put his friends down. I've had to stand up for my husband more than once, tactfully, of course. When I asked my husband why he tolerates it, he just said Victor is like that. They've been friends for more than 30 years. Victor also treats his wife terribly. He openly admits he doesn't love her that much, calls their relationship transactional, and sees her primarily as someone who supports his career and property investments. My husband's best friend insulted our marriage for years, and I finally exploded.
And your husband is friends with him?
This is just a man living the dream. Just all he's doing is just living the dream, babe. Yeah.
He sounds like a delight.
I like my wife a little. I really like how she invests in our property and supports my career.
I like my wife in the way that I like my real estate agent.
He never takes her on dates and refuses to travel alone with her. He always insists my husband or other friends join them. I rarely hang out with him because I don't want to put myself in situations where I get worked up by his comments. Fast forward to a few days ago, Victor called my husband. My husband put him on speaker because Victor video called and he didn't want to hold his phone. I was beside my husband in the study working. Victor insisted my husband go on an overnight trip out of the country with him and his wife. My husband didn't want to go. We have cats and would need to arrange care. Our cousin usually comes to stay for a week when we travel, and asking her to come for just one night felt unreasonable. When my husband suggested a day trip instead, Victor got angry. He said things like, "Is it because your wife won't let you? Is it because you have no money? I'll pay for the sitter. What a loser you are. I'll pay, bro. Give me a price. What nonsense excuses." It went on and on. Then Victor said something that pushed me over the edge. "You've changed ever since you married her. She's controlling you, isn't it?" That is when I snapped. I said roughly, "I'm here, and yes, I'm going to control this conversation. I'm sorry your relationship with your wife is so miserable that you need to interfere in ours to feel better. It's pathetic that you can't be alone with your own wife and need my husband as a buffer. My husband said no. No means no. Please respect his boundaries and F off.
Nice. So satisfying.
And I guarantee your husband is gonna go, "You can do that to him?"
No, he's gonna go, babe, that wasn't very nice.
Wait, you
It's
can
just like that.
you can stand up to him?
He's going to like hold out his hand. There's going to be like sparks like going between his fingertips. And he's going to be like, what is this power? What is this power? And then it's, yeah,
Mhm.
Victor.
Victor.
And then I ended the call. My husband was shocked, but he understood that Victor went too far. I told him I was hurt and disappointed that he didn't immediately stand up for me when Victor blamed me for controlling him. My husband apologized and said he planned to talk to Victor and set boundaries, especially since they have mutual friends they see in group settings.
Yeah, where? Where was that? In the shower?
I planned to talk to Victor, but then I got
I
scared.
was going to talk to him in my head.
I said some really good things in the shower.
I was going to say some things in my brain.
It sounded so good.
It sounded so good, and then I just got scared.
Victor now refuses to speak to my husband unless I apologize for insulting his relationship. I don't want to apologize. I feel bad for exploding, but I'm exhausted after years of disrespect. What should I do? Am I the a-hole? No. What should you do? Never talk to him ever again. And if he shows up, you go pff, and you spit in his face.
Yeah, I think you tell your husband, I am never talking to Victor again. If he needs me to apologize to him, to bow down to him, for you guys to have a relationship, then thank God, because I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it'll never happen.
It's not going to happen, so I guess you don't have a relationship with Victor anymore. No.
Bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, bam.
I
If
guess
I
you could
find out you're
call
freaking blaming me to your friends about your relationship falling apart, you're going to have problems.
I guess you could call Victor the loser.
Yeah. Ain't feeling so victorious now, are you, bud?
Update. I won't be showing this post to my husband, at least not now, as some comments were very harsh towards him. I needed to hear them. While I understand and agree with parts of them, he's currently in therapy and I don't want to discourage his progress. I do agree that he struggles to stand up for himself. This has been a recurring issue in our relationship and something we've talked about extensively. My husband is very patient, gentle, and always sees the good in people, sometimes to his own detriment. I'm the opposite. I'm very direct and speak up when I see someone being mistreated. That's why I spoke out when Victor was cruel to his wife. Victor knows I don't like him. He overcompensates by praising me publicly, sometimes saying I'm too good for my husband, which I always rebut. He always buys expensive gifts, which makes me uncomfortable. It feels performative, like proof that he is nice and I'm the problem. I've never bought into it, especially after seeing how he treats his wife. But many of you are right. Victor isn't the real problem. My husband is, for allowing this to continue. My husband only sees Victor every couple months, usually because Victor initiates. In therapy, my husband is unpacking why he still feels tied to him and struggles to stand up for himself. For context, Victor was his first friend when my husband returned to the country at 17 and introduced him to the group. There's a strong sense of loyalty. Victor also fits the pattern of intense friendship followed by subtle cruelty masked as jokes that would make someone maybe narcissistic. By the way, go right now. Go. You, Steve Bermuda. Steve Bermuda. Go listen to full episodes with stories just like this on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, and that's the only one you ever use. Search OK Storytime wherever you listen to podcasts. Find us. Listen to us. Steve Bermuda. Whew, we've got some more story. Let's just go. We spoke again today. My husband plans to talk to another friend in the group. Let's call him Pete. Pete has a banter-heavy relationship with Victor and often calls him out. I explained that what Victor does to my husband isn't banter, it's bullying. Banter goes both ways. My husband agrees and feels Pete may be a good ally. Yes, I chose to marry my husband, and I accept that. He has treated me with love and kindness, and I love him deeply. He isn't perfect, and neither am I. Our relationship isn't perfect, but I believe people can change if they want to, and he's actively trying. For now, he's distracting himself from Victor and refusing invites. It's not perfect, but it's a start.
All right, then. That's true. As long as he's working on it and you're distancing from Victor, then that's the main thing. That's our goal.
That's where we're at.
I love my husband, but his refusal to get therapy is breaking me.
Great, now I need therapy.
Hi guys, I don't even know where to begin. I have ADHD and can't tell how much background is needed for this to make sense. I, 33 female, met my husband, 35 male, 2.5 years ago. We got married despite my therapist and friends expressing that we should wait. Ooh, those are two groups of people that we should have probably listened to.
Yeah.
One especially. My husband makes me feel protected, wanted, and at peace when we're okay.
Oh, when we're okay.
It's keywords. I knew I loved him and I wanted to be able to add him and his daughter, 15 female, onto my insurance, as my work benefits are great and she needed both physical and mental health help. By the way, this comes from LucyLou2692 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit.
What?
And if you want to submit stories, you should go to that subreddit too. I'm Sophia.
I'm Angie.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, our relationship moved along pretty fast. They moved in with my son, 11 male, and me after only 3 months of dating. It was obviously a shock for the first 6 months, with a lot of change in a short period of time. I was always open with my son, and he seemed to understand and saw that my husband genuinely made me happy. He was not against them moving in, despite having to share a room now. With your husband's daughter?
Yeah, sounds like.
My son is my world. My son, though small, remembers how harmful my relationship with his dad was. I have been in therapy since my son was about 4 years old. It took years of therapy and a diagnosis of ADHD, along with treatment, to leave that relationship for good. I worked on myself and doubted myself as a mother, as I had to work so much to give my son everything he deserved. His dad isn't very involved and is 3 years behind on child support. So it has always just been income supporting the both of us. I managed to buy my own home by the time I was 29. Congratulations.
Nice.
This is when I finally left his dad. I went through a depressive phase, feeling like I wasn't giving my son the life he deserved by trying to work things out with his dad, and then feeling lonely and burnt out from working so much. Through therapy, I managed to bring myself back up, started dating, and met my now husband. My stepdaughter's biomom isn't involved either. Her biomom will either cancel plans last minute or completely ghost her and ask for forgiveness after the fact. I could always tell this affected her, no matter how much she would say she didn't care or wasn't bothered by it. My husband didn't think much about this, as to him, at least she had one parent in her life. I feel like you should be thinking a little bit more about it.
Yeah, maybe we should consider our child's feelings.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, she said she's fine.
Yeah, she literally said she's good. I mean, she's got me.
She can't lie.
It's not like she lost both of her parents.
No, she got one.
Yeah.
It may be the neurodivergence, but I'm very sensitive to the vibes around me. I could sense when things were off with her and knew she needed to speak with someone. Do you feel like you have that? Because I feel like I have that. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I notice when, I don't know if it's like an everyone thing, but I feel like I'm always like, oh no, they're mad.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I get that. I
So
get
I
that
feel
too
you.
sometimes. But I also can't, it's hard to tell sometimes whether it's just me thinking that
Exactly.
or if it's like actually for real.
I'm like, am I actually just picking up on
Yeah.
minute little details, or are
Right.
they fine?
right.
Our relationship had a very rocky start, even though I tried my best to show her affection the same way I showed affection to my son. She was not used to this type of affection, so my husband asked me to stop. I respected their boundaries and took a step back, but I still thought she needed to talk to someone. This was the biggest factor in wanting to get married. She had to grow up really fast. She had to wake herself up starting at 8 years old and walk to school because my husband started work early. Wow.
Dang.
He worked long hours and wouldn't be home until late. She walked herself to school at 8 years old?
I guess it depends how close you are to school.
Yeah.
Because I live like right across the street from my school.
That would make sense.
So I was like that. We did that too.
Yeah.
But
But
also
if it's any
usually-
further than across the street,
yeah.
I mean, you would like, this is kind of too late to do anything about this,
Sure.
but I would wonder, were there any like before school care options or something? Because a
Yeah.
lot of times, at least at my school, there was
Mhm.
like a pre-daycare and then like
Yeah.
a post school daycare.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But it's too late to do
Yeah,
anything about that.
She's not 8 anymore.
Nope. Her routine was to go from school to her uncle's house, then home to wait for her dad. She didn't have the structure that I was able to provide to my son. She basically had to raise herself, even though my husband was technically there for her. My husband has his own story too. His grandma raised him, as his mom had her own issues and was not around. His dad worked things out with his previous wife, who didn't want my husband in her home. My husband's grandma passed away from cancer when he was still in high school. He tells me stories about how he would sometimes have to sleep at a park because he'd run away from his foster homes. Oh my God. His family wouldn't take him in, as he would say he and his older brother were a package deal. His older brother had a very bad temper and ultimately passed away from an incident. My husband spent 2 years in prison, and took the time to reflect on his life and what he wanted life to look like when he got out. Once out, he got full custody of his daughter and started working long hours. I don't know if that was enough background, but I'm finally getting to the issue at hand. The many years of therapy I went through, plus my ADHD treatment, really helped me self-reflect and aided with my impulsivity and reactivity. I'm a much better partner now. I'm very self-aware, but I continue going to therapy. As the times I have stopped, I start to feel like I'm going crazy again because I get in my head. All this to say that the relationship I have with my husband is completely different from the one I had with my son's dad. My husband and I would never call each other names. We wouldn't fight in front of the kids, and if we had a slip up, we would talk it out. Things started to change when my husband had to stop smoking, as a new job wouldn't allow him to. He had really bad withdrawals for about a month. I almost ended things, but kept reminding myself that it was just the withdrawals and that we could get through it. During this time, however, we started fighting in front of the kids and started cussing at each other.
Oh boy.
Ooh, we just started going down the wrong path. That's not great.
Not great at all.
And if I were to have offered advice, probably while he's going through this period of withdrawals, like, I don't know, limiting the amount of contact is like with the kids that you like, you know, you have time together, but maybe that's not while the kids are there.
Yeah,
so
like,
we just avoid that entirely.
if you like maybe notice yourself getting
Yeah.
heated or something like
Yeah.
that, maybe there's a way that you can be like, we need to put a pin in this and just talk
Yeah.
about this later, because
Yeah.
bottom line, we can't be fighting in front of the kids.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe at
But-
that time they were already living together. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that was my advice. If they weren't living together, like, you could kind of go down on how much you're seeing each other,
Yeah.
at least when you have the kids. But
I
if
mean,
you're
even
living
if-
together, it's kind of tricky.
It could be tricky. I wonder though, even if they are living together, if they like, you know, because the kids are 11 and 15.
Yeah.
So it's not like they can't be home alone. You know what I mean? So I
Exactly,
wonder
yeah.
if they maybe just go on a walk or take a
Yeah.
drive or something like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I don't know. That seems a lot easier said than done, and seems like it would be more complicated in the real situation.
It does seem so. I took a step back, talked it out with my therapist, and kind of rebooted. It's been 1 year since the withdrawals, and we've had some major hiccups. At one point, I even threatened divorce. I talked to him and explained things to him, and he says he'll work on it, but I can't continue to be his therapist. I've asked him to get tested for ADHD, as it runs in his family, to try and get treatment because I've realized that I've reverted to doing some things I used to do with my ex. I'm not putting the blame on him, but I am saying that his reactions to things trigger me. Most recently, he triggered a panic attack. Prior to my ADHD diagnosis, I used to get panic attacks pretty often, but I knew how to manage them, as I could tell when I was early on in one. I haven't really had any since starting ADHD treatment. This attack was not caught early, and it got to the point where my arms and legs started feeling numb from crying so much.
Oh my God.
I guess this is your brain's way of protecting itself by trying to deflect to other parts of your body. This was triggered when he called me selfish and accused me of not caring about anyone but myself. All because I asked for help 2 mornings in a row as the kids were on school break and I had to work from home. Being called selfish triggered me so badly. Not just because I most definitely am not, but because he said it in the same way my ex did. After this episode, I told him he needs to seek help. He needs a therapist of his own, but he claims that won't help him. He refuses to at least get the ADHD testing done, and I don't know how else to open his eyes. I really do love him. I catch myself looking at him in a way I've never looked at anyone else. I catch him looking at me in the same way as well. It really isn't all bad, but his reactions and refusal to go to therapy are bringing old things back. And I don't like it. I know the person I was back then was the person I needed to be for survival, but I really don't want to be in survival mode anymore. Does anyone have any advice on how to get him to agree to therapy? I don't see how else he can change or work on things without professional help. Yes, my male friends have even tried to normalize therapy by admitting that they go to therapy too. He's a great guy. I just see the ADHD, impulsivity, and reactivity and don't know how else to help him. By the way, you can help us by listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to the story, but do you have any thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts
Yeah.
on this situation.
Me too.
I think this is not just ADHD.
Yeah.
I think this is just poor regulation of emotions, which could, be affected by ADHD.
Absolutely.
But I think you're waiting for him to change a lot about himself.
Yeah.
And that's not even in a way, like, I'm not even saying that in a way where it's like, oh, OP, you're in the wrong for, like, wanting someone to change. It's just, no, girl, he's not being good to you.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for him to just be good to you all of a sudden. And unfortunately, it's not going to be so easy as him just going to therapy and getting diagnosed for ADHD. Like, it's way more than that.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. And also, I think you're giving a lot of excuses to his behavior.
yeah.
Like the first time, it was the withdrawals. And that was a year of that behavior, which,
Yeah.
good on you. Like, you were supportive and you were there for him and you understood. And now it's, oh, well, he's treating me like this because he has ADHD. So we're
Yeah.
constantly excusing this behavior that we're seeing.
Right.
And if he's not willing to make any changes in his life or get help, then there's not really anything that you can do or say
Yeah.
that's going to make him want to do it.
Yeah, because therapy, I mean, really, if he doesn't want to do it, it's not going to be good. Like,
Yeah.
if he doesn't want to be there, then he's not going to participate and he's not going to get better. So honestly, I think you need to, instead of asking the question, like, how do I get him to go to therapy? I think you need to focus on yourself.
And your kid.
Yeah, and instead of being like, how do I get this guy to change? I think you need to think like, oh, how do I make my situation better? What can I do?
Mhm.
Assume that he's not going to change ever.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be like this because it
might.
might. So yeah, I would ask yourself that question.
Mhm.
What can you do to be not in survival mode anymore? Does
Yeah.
that mean leaving him?
Maybe.
Maybe it
Maybe it does. I also, going back to the beginning of the story, because you said that your son, who's 11, and your 15-year-old stepdaughter share a room, which totally understand that there are situations where that has to happen.
Sure.
This one didn't have to happen because you guys were living separately at a time
Yeah.
and you had separate rooms for your kids, presumably.
Right.
It's not, I think, the best option to have an 11-year-old boy and a 15-year-old girl who are just at like totally different points in their life sharing a room.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm worried about. Is
Yeah.
there any way that can be changed? I understand financial issues are a thing here, but yeah, that was the only thing I worried about when you guys moved in together.
Yeah.
And talk to your son about that. Is he affected by this? Is this something that he doesn't really like and he's upset by? And while you've been focusing on your relationship, what's going on with him?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I'd be wondering.
Check in with the kids. That'd
Yeah.
be good.
But there's a little bit left. Before anyone says, you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. I know this, but this isn't an option for me. I know my life would probably be easier without him, but I really do want to make this work. On a positive note, his daughter has benefited from therapy. That's amazing.
Okay.
And my relationship with her is pretty good now. My son is pretty oblivious to this. He's in his own world with his friends now that he's getting older and isn't as attached to my hip as he once was. He truly is a great kid, and I'm proud that I get to call him my son. Well, that's good. Keep checking
Okay.
in, though, because is he actually oblivious to this? Or, just check in about that.
Yeah. Is that the end of that story?
It is.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I hope it all works out.
Yeah.
I mean, try.
right.
But also don't sacrifice yourself
yeah.
and your son and even your daughter in this case.
Yeah. Keep going to therapy. I hope that's going well. I think it is just possible. Maybe this isn't your situation, but maybe it is. It's very common for people who get out of abusive relationships to get into another one that just
Mhm.
isn't as bad.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, well, you're not exactly like my ex.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're also telling us that he's saying things
Yeah.
exactly like your ex.
Yeah, and like besides the point, like even if it wasn't like that was another thing I was thinking too. Like even if this thing that he is saying isn't how your ex said it or isn't exactly word for word what he said or something like that, it's still something bad. That's like it's not just triggering you because it's reminding you of the past. It's just a mean thing to say.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I would just talk to your therapist about that because I don't like what I'm hearing, to be quite honest.
Nor do I. Nor
Yeah.
do I. And the end of this episode. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you
And see you tomorrow.